Good evening, everyone. We're going to welcome everybody to tonight's regular meeting of the Rancho Cordova City Council and ask the city clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Gatewood.
Here.
Councilmember Pulapati is absent. Councilmember Sander.
Here.
Mayor Terry is absent. And Vice Mayor Budge.
Here, thank you. We also want to welcome the people who are not in the room with us tonight, although we have a wonderful crowd tonight. We want to welcome people who are at home or on Zoom or who will watch this later. And Stacy, I think there's a lot of technical language you need to read.
Yes. The meeting of the Rancho Cordova City Council will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast Consolidated Communications and AT&T Verse cable systems. The meeting is closed captioned and webcast at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting will air on Wednesday, April 6th at 9 a.m. and Friday, April 8th at 1 p.m. The meeting can also be viewed at youtube.com/Metro Cable 14. A DVD copy can also be ordered from the City Clerk's Department, and a webcast of this meeting will also be available within 48 hours of adjournment of this meeting on the city's website.
Super, thank you. So we're going to ask everyone to rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And if you choose, please stay standing for an invocation by Jennifer Larrett from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I'm going to ask Michael Faust to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we are so grateful for this day, and we are grateful to be able to live in the city that we live in and to have the many blessings that we have. And we are grateful for our city leadership and for our city council and all that they do for us. And please bless them that they will be led and guided to the things that they need to do, and that all those who are sick and afflicted in our city may be blessed with recovery. And take us through to stay in safety. And we say these things in my Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Jen. And I know we're all thinking of the people in Ukraine and the people last night in downtown Sacramento. So we're going to go into presentations. And Garrett is going to present a proclamation for Fair Housing Month to Tahira Kraft, the Housing Services Director at Sacramento Self-Help Housing.
Oh, Mike. Yes, please. Where am I looking? All right, come on up here, you two.
Let's say, come on, Ryan.
All right.
And her
Smile, look at the
companion.
camera.
Oh, we smile, look at the camera.
Yeah,
Thank
because
you.
there's lots of people that are watching us
thank you
online.
so much.
2 to 3, maybe even 4.
Ooh, I'll hold the excitement.
We're worldwide.
All right. This proclamation is for the city of Rancho Cordova, recognizes Fair Housing Month as April 2022. One of my council members, or the mayor, is super into this fair housing. Fair housing is celebrated each April across the United States, and this year we celebrate the 54th anniversary of the enactment of the Federal Fair Housing Act in 1968. And whereas a fundamental goal of a government is to eliminate discrimination and assure the rights of every resident to buy and rent a house regarding our race, religion, sex, national origin, disability, family status, age, source, income, sexual orientation, gender identity, marital status, veteran, military status, immigration status, and first language. As we recognize fair housing, it is timely that we reflect on the importance of the community states, and the nation affirms its civil rights and opposes bigotry and discrimination. The city of Rancho Cordova affirms every American's right to live in dignity and any area they desire without fear of discrimination, supports the state and federal protection against discrimination in the sale and rental of housing. The city of Rancho Cordova supports the education of homeowners, realtors, landlords, property owners, home buyers, tenants regarding their rights, reasonability under the federal, state, Fair Housing Act. And if you guys ever want to hear about it, there's an amazing redlining in a lot of the different cities that shows about what that meant. The city of Rancho Cordova is proud of its commitment of fair housing and recognizes the need for an affirmative to promote the fair housing and its policies practice, and will continue to work at an entity to remove impediments for fair housing choices. There be it resolved by my Mayor Donald Terry on April 22nd. We recognize fair housing. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you so, thank you.
mic?
That would work. Ooh, thank you. My name is Tahira Kraft from Sacramento Self-Help Housing. Vice Mayor and council members, I want to thank you so much for acknowledging Fair Housing Month and your ongoing support for the Renters Helpline. The Renters Helpline receives calls daily from renters asking about their rights and possible fair housing issues and concerns. Each month, like I said, we receive 800 calls, minimum, and about 47 on average gets referred over to Project Sentinel to look to see if there's any discrimination. Since January, we've referred over 10 cases to Project Sentinel to investigate. There's been an increase of discrimination against families and children in Rancho Cordova, which has led Project Sentinel to actually do 3 audit tests on the discrimination, which right now they are evaluating those test results. So we appreciate your support that you have provided, allowing us to see if there is discrimination going on in Rancho Cordova and to stop it. So again, thank you so much for supporting the Fair Housing Act and the Renters Helpline. Thank you. I'd like to pass it over to Ryan, which is the attorney at Project Sentinel, to say 1 or 2 words.
I'd also like to, my name is Ryan Reyes, a staff attorney with Project Sentinel. I'd echo Ms. Kraft's thanks to the council for supporting the Fair Housing Act. And it's a significant day today regarding the Fair Housing Act, because in 1968, it's the thing that precipitated the enactment of the Fair Housing Act happened today, which was the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. So a week after that, the Fair Housing Act was passed. Like Fair Housing Act, that is the legacy of Dr. King. We know that it's an ongoing battle, but we thank you for supporting our efforts to further the Fair Housing Act.
Again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for the work that you all do. I know that every one of us gets referrals from time to time on the internet for people who really need the assistance from your organization. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys very much.
Okay, take us away, literally, ladies and gentlemen, a presentation from the California Capitol Air Show.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. My name is Darcy Brewer, and I serve the nonprofit California Capitol Air Show as its executive director, and I'd like to take a second to introduce some of my board members, all of whom you know. Terrence McNamara is our board chair, and Michael Faust is a member of our board. Shelley Blanchard has been on the board for 137 years and has chosen to be our backup singer tonight. And you all know Kim, and she is the best backup singer. Thank you very much. Actually, since 2007, longer than I've been here. So I think we have a little video we'd like to share, because through our partnership, we delivered some meaningful action entertainment last year.
To see people's eyes light up is super exciting. It's the most rewarding part of what we get to do every day.
Little bit of a look back at 2021, and for the record, Terrence McNamara, Board Chair, also the appointee to the air show from the Rancho Cordova Chamber of Commerce. So I serve a dual role there. There you go. Applause for the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you. So we were thrilled to actually be able to put on the Safe and Separate Air Show for 2021 after being dark the year prior. I think having the access to the 3,000 acres of the wonderful Mather Airport really makes a difference and allowed us to present a safe show. We also had an option where people who weren't quite ready to get back into a crowd of people could come on the Friday evening in their car and experience an evening air show next to their car, which I think was a really good option, and it was a big hit. And it's a lot of work, but people really enjoyed it, and it was well received. We had 2 jet teams from North America, the Canadian Forces Snowbirds and the United States Air Force Thunderbirds, and that was a really cool experience having both of them, especially in the times that we were in at that point. Having the Canadians be able to come across the border and join us was super important. But we also, there was a lot of pent-up demand, and there were also some additional kind of family fun things, and we're gonna have Kim tell you about some stuff also.
Thank you. Kim Duran-Cara Giorgio, Administrative Services Director and City Appointee to the Air Show Board. So with many popular youth events having been canceled during 2020, the Air Show team was disappointed not to be able to have those events, and we're looking forward to doing something big in 2021, and that is what happened. Inspired by some of the incredible women in the Air Show lineup, the 2021 Reimagined Air Show was more missionized than ever, with a 3-day STEM program specifically designed for women or young women, girl power. The program kicked off on Friday with an Ask Me Anything conference and mentor luncheon for 250 local students, and had some remarkable speakers, including our own Vice Mayor Budge and Councilmember Pulapati was there, and some role models from some of the top aviation industries. It was really a powerful and incredible afternoon for these girls. I was quite inspired myself, and probably my favorite takeaway was the actual rocket scientist sitting at a table mentoring girls with her t-shirt that said, "I am an actual rocket scientist." So thanks to the City of Rancho Cordova, all participating students received backpacks filled with goodies and educational information, as well as air show passes for them and their families over the weekend, so they could come back and get fully immersed in the air show and get special behind-the-scenes access. And so overall, the STEM Expo is an example of the air show's commitment to consistently deliver programs that help inspire our youth of the future and can contribute to the region. And with that, we'll be doing it again in 2022, and I'll be handing it over to Michael to tell you a little bit about that.
Thank you very much. My name is Michael Faust. I'm very pleased to be a board member for the California Capital Air Show. The air show has a lot of impacts on folks in a lot of different ways, and I'm pleased to say that in 2019, when we did an economic impact report, which is the last full year prior to COVID, we had a little over 100,000 people that showed up for 2 days and had a little over a $7.1 million economic impact for the greater Rancho Cordova region. As we look forward to 2022, we're really excited to share this year, this community, what you're going to see from the air show is going to be completely different than what we've presented for the past 15 years. We've actually been selected to host a multinational salute commemorating the 75th anniversary of the United States Air Force. As air show, it's a huge, distinct honor for us to be able to have that opportunity. So what does that mean? It means our fans and our families from across the region are likely to see some exciting aircraft, both in the air and on the ground, that most of us have never actually seen before, as well as personnel and dignitaries from several other countries, all here to show their respect and appreciation to the Air Force men and women. As well as they'll be here to honor our nation's histories together, our cultural alignments, and our strong economic partnerships. And as Terrence mentioned, due to the overwhelming response for the drive-in air show last year, we're planning on bringing back the Friday afternoon flying only family picnic style event, as well as the traditional 2-day Saturday and Sundays which will include the unique displays, music, activities, festival, fair, and the fun you've come to expect from the California Capitol Air Show. We can't wait to see all of you on the ramp Mather this September 30th, October 1st, and October 2nd. Thank you very much, Darcy.
Thank you again for letting us visit with you tonight and take 10 minutes of your time or more. We're famous for that. But what we really wanted to do is, and it's long overdue, the Royal Canadian Air Force prepared a piece of framed art for you, and each of the pilots and crew members, officers signed it. Of course, the Thunderbirds, the United States Air Force Thunderbirds Jet Demonstration Squadron also had their calligrapher make a piece of art for you. And in addition to that, we had our comeback poster, and every one of the performers, both civilian and military, signed the poster this year for you. So you wouldn't forget, this was one of their first times out, and it was really successful, and we all thank you, and they do too. So thanks for letting us come and share a little bit with you tonight.
And my word to Jen, if you want to feel inadequate, you stand next to Beowulf, who is one of two lady, was it the F-35? Yeah. And these were remarkable women. Everything they said about the STEM Expo. These ladies, there was an airline pilot. They just came from all aspects of the aviation industry, and they were just the most impressive group of women to inspire our young ladies. And it was a great event to be part of. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, great job, guys. It was fun. I was the mayor, and it was nice to actually have an event that COVID wasn't able to shut down.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of cities couldn't get it done, but luckily we have all you guys to pin everything on. I meant take advantage of this situation to.
Garrett, you got to introduce. It wasn't the Canadian consul. Who was it?
No, it was the Canadian consulate was
Was
there.
the Canadian consulate.
And then I messed up the Thunderbirds and called them the Blue Angels because, why not? And then they all looked at me with daggers, and I was like, well, it's both blue, technically.
It's okay.
You fly really fast and plane. Yeah, I said I was sorry immediately. I apologize immediately.
We get it. We get it.
Super thundery.
All right. Thank you guys very much. We are so thrilled. That was the 30th of September and the 1st and 2nd of October, and it better be on everybody's calendar in 30 seconds. Thank you, guys. All right. So, Kim, we're going to call on you again to introduce a gentleman with your department.
Thank you. I'm happy this evening to be able to introduce you to the city's new information technology manager, Rob Nenley. Rob joins us. He joined us about 3 weeks ago, I want to say, mid-March, to help us out in the IT department. He came from the city of Folsom, where he had worked in IT, various capacities of IT for about 17 years, and he is also a Rancho Cordova resident.
Well, that's a good idea.
Good evening, members of the City Council. As Kim said, I am Rob Nunley, and I get to be the newest member of your IT staff here at the City of Rancho Cordova. Kim stole a lot of the things I was going to say. So I did come from Folsom, and it was a great experience there. I will say that it's been wonderful these 3 weeks. All the members of the staff here have been super welcoming to me. It's been a wonderful experience, and I don't think my experience I'm not the only person that have felt that. I talked to other new employees, and they felt the same exact way, that there's a wonderful crew here and a wonderful culture. It's wonderful now to be a part of that. So,
well, welcome aboard, Rob. I can tell you that I am the least technically capable person sitting up here, and you all have taught us over the last 20 years how valuable you are.
That's great to hear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's it for presentations, so we will go on to public comment. Stacy, do we have anybody who signed up for public comment?
We do. Can we read the instructions? So for those.
Oh, sure, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So citizens wishing to address the council for any matter not on the agenda may do so at this time via the teleconference instructions that Stacy gave you earlier, or by completing and submitting a speaker card to the city clerk. So if you want to make a public comment in teleconference, please use the raise hand feature at the bottom of the screen. If you're participating by telephone and you want to make a public comment, please press *9 to raise your hand. For those participating by Zoom or by telephone, please wait until Stacy calls upon you. For items on the agenda, we will be taking public comment when those items are heard. And please tell us everything you would like to say in 3 minutes. Under the provisions of the California Government Code, we really can't discuss those items tonight or take any action, but we will be happy to refer you to staff or to schedule a future item on the agenda. Stacy.
The city clerk's office has received one public comment via email. That is from Lisa Phoenix, and it's been distributed to the city council. It's made available for the public in the back of the room, and it will also be up on the city's website. I have also received speaker cards, and then I will go to Zoom and call on those who have their hands raised. So we'll start with those that are in the room today, and I will start with Helen Wayland Bashaw. Following Helen will be Court Stratful. Following Court will be Jennifer Larrett, and we'll start with that.
Hi, my name is Helen William Bashaw, and I'm over in the Tierra Grande area. What I'd like to talk about is the youth center. I was impressed with the presentation that we had prior and with talking about the logo, but I think I agree with Dave that Sanders that the logo has to be something that can go forward, something that represents some time. The logo, the two choices we had, one, when I was talking to some neighbors, said, looks like someone's tagging the place. And I said, oh, okay. And the other one, my interpretation, is it reminds me of my varsity letter. And the reason I bring this up is I grew up in Baltimore. And in Baltimore, we had a recreation center. When kids wanted to play, we played in the alleys. That recreation center represented more than the basketball courts, the tennis courts, a baseball field. It represented a place where the little kids came up and learned how to associate with other people. We had a cooking, we had wood shop, we had all sorts of stuff. And what I think, when you're using the word to shine, that's a jock term, as far as I'm concerned. That youth center should represent something that gets every child that goes to it involved. The child that has no athletic activities or skills, it should be, that's why I had texted Dave, a place to grow, because that's where our future citizens are. And we need to stress more than the basketball court, and I know, Garrett, you wanted basketball, but that center represents the whole thing for children. It's a safe zone. It's a zone where they can learn things they never even thought about. And I understand we're going to have a computer there. So I think that the logo should be representative of something that is long enduring. It does have Rancho Cordova listed in it. It has youth center. But I also believe the logo itself, to shine, represents an individual aspect of, which I don't think is what the youth center should have. The youth center should be something that develops children into our next citizens in Rancho Cordova. So I think we need to look at something else, even though the kids picked it, because it reminds me of sports, and that youth center is more than just sports. Let me see.
What's your example of something you like?
Well, I had said a place to grow.
No, I meant your logo.
My logo? I hadn't really thought about, because what I thought is the children should be able to have a contest, have them see what they're going to do. But Dave put up a very good logo that has endured the test of time. And so I don't really know what. I hadn't really thought about it, but I looked at the two, and one reminded me of my varsity letter. And
So
the other,
Garrett-
as somebody said, was like a,
Can you
Tag.
take the conversation offline? Great.
okay. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Helen.
The next speaker is Court Stratful. Following Court will be Jennifer Larrett. Following Jennifer Larrett will be Alex Joe.
How about it, City Council? We made it. I feel good because it's the first time in a long time I can actually come and see you. I was against this video stuff. Being in person is a lot better, especially when you're still breathing. And go Ukraine, man. I've never seen more diehard people fight for their life. Years ago, I would have volunteered to go there, and so I got another whole story. Anyway, what I'm trying to figure out is, are we gonna fix the older part of Rancho Cordova only when we absolutely have to by the law? Or do you think we could put sidewalks in when we're fixing the street? You know, there's a fire station. It's about, what, maybe 100 yards from the corner of Aramon, and you go up Aramon, and there's no sidewalk. But at the other end of Aramon, we have dug up every corner, we put handicap access in, and for what? Either we're wasting money at the other end putting all that crap in, or we're just all got an attitude, hey, it's just the other part of Rancho Cordova. You don't see it, because I noticed Zinfandel doesn't have a problem having sidewalks. You can still see where they were put in. So legally, you may be in the right not putting it in. To me, morally, it's not acceptable. I stood here and said I was against that half cent because I thought we were getting taxed too much already. But I gave in saying, you will take care of our streets. Well, if your idea is just to come back and just do what you have to do, but we're gonna get everybody else that's brand new all set up nice, and we're gonna do only Folsom Boulevard and make it look good, and maybe Cordova. Oh, by the way, the stop sign on my street is for information only. I figured that out. I video it all. It's on constant video. There's at least 50 cars a day that run through it. I'm not talking California stop either, you know. I mean, how much would that be worth?
We all have that
Catching
problem.
one guy going, is that like a $250 or $300 fine? We're not talking about, California. I'm good with California stops. You slow down, you get there and maybe look around, nobody's looking. No, I'm out there in the front yard with the neighbors, and we're looking, and somebody goes right in the middle of the afternoon, and we're standing there. I can't say that, but anyway, and they go like that to you. I mean, people do not care. So I'm always interested in answers. How about those little hard little bumps that are really hard, that are just tear up your suspension if you try to go around the big hump, that we could put right across where the hopefully the stop sign will be. when they
Please
get
wrap
done
up your
fixing it.
comments.
Thank you.
Court, I know that Public Works is in the back of the room and would be happy to talk to you about your Public Works concerns.
What's that on?
Public Works is in the back of the room and would be happy, Albert's waving.
They're here
He'd be-
now?
Yeah, he'd be happy to talk to you about your street concerns.
But really, you have to make the decision. Doesn't do
Well,
me
yeah,
any.
but-
I'm just suggesting
But
put
there are
sidewalks
processes,
in.
there are processes you need to go through Public Works.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Jennifer Larrett.
I am the vice president of the Rancho Cordova Track Club, and so on behalf of the club, we just wanted to thank you for all of the funding that you provided for the track club and for the improvements made at Folsom High. We had several events this last year that I felt were like really amazing events, and I think really helped change perception of people with the city of Rancho. Most of the comments that we got from people were from either the Bay or different parts of the Sacramento area, and all of them said, we had no idea that you guys had such a premier venue down here. So the improvements that were made just really helped us to be able to host these events. And one thing that was a real draw for families that were coming was the fact that the track was right next to Hagen Park. So as they're there for these long days and things like that, they were able to take their families over into Hagen, have a picnic, come back, and things like that. So we just really appreciate all the funding that we were able to have, and the fact that we've been able to like bring track and fields up into the Rancho Cordova area. I think for our youth, because track and field is kind of for everybody. So if you're not really great at playing basketball or football, there is an event for you in track and field. And I think that we've just really been able to like have a really amazing offering for those kids. And even our kids that are at the high school and middle school levels now are going to be coming into our competitive season, are looking forward to coming out of their high school and middle school sports and being able to come join the track club and be able to have that further training and things like that to get them to kind of the next level and to be able to have a longer competitive season. So just on behalf of the track club, we just wanted to say thank you so much for all that you provided to us, and we look forward to providing more premier events that we have coming up this season and hope you'll be able to make out some of our events. Thank you.
Super. Thank you, Jen. We appreciate it.
Next speaker is Alex Joe. Following Alex Joe will be Daryl Langwell.
Thank you, Council. I'm Alex Joe. I'm a candidate for supervisor. I'm starting off at the bottom of my list, actually.
Mr.
District
Joe,
5, yes.
can we ask you please to not make political comments here tonight?
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Budge. I wanted to announce my appreciation to Dr. Sander for giving our family a letter as mayor in 2020 when we had our family reunion here. And Ms. Budge was instrumental in helping us get to that point. And that was a good thing for us, and we appreciate that. Then I wanted to simply wish Linda Budge a happy birthday, which is coming up on the 10th, as I see. And she's a friend of mine from the 1990s, roaming the Elk Grove and Rancho Cordova areas. So those are my comments. I go easy on you this evening. I'll read the agendas and look into the situations that take place here in the city and come back with more intense presentations. Thank you.
Super. Thank you. We appreciate your participation.
Next speaker will be Daryl Langwell, and then I will go to Zoom.
Good evening, council members, Daryl Langwell, Vineyards neighborhood. The previous speaker sort of stole some of my thunder because I noticed that we skipped right over agenda item 5.4, which addresses Linda Budge's birthday, and I wanted to come up and say, happy birthday, Linda. I hope you have many, many more.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate that.
I don't think that was a mistake that we skipped over that item. I think it's her preference.
It's too late.
I already told everybody. No,
So since it got brought up, we're going to go ahead and sing
Barrett.
Linda Happy. Hey, it's happening. Sit back. This is happening. I still got 2.7 minutes. Don't make me go get a card out and fill it out. We're going to go ahead and sing Linda Happy Birthday. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Linda. Happy birthday to you. Happy 31st birthday.
Thank you very much, everybody.
It is far better in the room than it is on Zoom.
Right?
I will
That's
have
for
to
sure.
say
You know,
that.
harmonize and everything. I'm feeling it.
That too. I will agree with that one. Anybody else?
Yes, we have a few hands that are raised in Zoom, and we'll start with Ramon Rodriguez. So Ramon, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to speak.
Good evening, council members. I'm Ramon from Turlock, California, and I've read the news recently about a fired police officer from your town that was involved in being a teenager 2 years ago, and he got his job back. I'm just upset that he got his job back, and from what I've seen, is that is he gonna be like redeeming and making himself better, or is he gonna repeat the same cycle? Because you might not know, but if he does this again to residents, that's gonna cost the city more money in form of future lawsuits. and also that puts down trust between the residents and the police department. We expect police officers to do their job, to uphold the law as well as winning public trust. But seeing an officer being a kid 2 years ago, it breaks trust. It makes people skeptical and having less trust. And since he's got his job back, that makes the town less safe, especially what's going on around the whole nation in regards to criminal justice reform and police reforms and recent incidents involving police and residents around the area. So all I'm saying is yes, sorry about that, but this is going to be a liability because if that officer does using excessive force on someone else, that's going to cost cities monetary damages, and it's been happening around various towns and cities. And also, there are studies that if an officer's not being held accountable for actions such as using excessive force, they might doing a snowball effect of committing crimes while under color of authority. Just to bring it up, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Mr. City Manager, I assume you could respond to that during your comments, or now if you prefer. There's a fundamental misunderstanding, I think, there in that comment.
Do you want to do it now? Go right ahead.
It's the council's preference.
Go right ahead.
Let me make sure I unmute myself. Just a clarification that the employee that the caller is referring to was not a city employee. It's an employee of the sheriff. And the decision was made by a third-party arbitrator, and it's not the decision that the sheriff's office made. And this officer would not be assigned to the city of Rancho Cordova. This is based on a decision of a judge who gave his job back, and he will be working some capacity with the sheriff's office.
And in fact, he has not worked for the city of Rancho Cordova since the incident occurred.
Or yes, shortly, the day after the incident happened.
Thank you, Cyrus.
There was a very unfortunate headline
Yes.
in a local newspaper
Very
that
misleading in the local major
was not very
newspaper.
accurate.
Stacy.
The next public speaker is a telephone caller, starting with area code 916804. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to speak.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Faiza.
Okay, this is Faiza in Lincoln Village. Two things happened on April 2nd. First of all, I'd like to say Ramadan Mubarak to all my Muslim sisters and brothers in the city of Rancho Cordova and beyond. We began fasting for the holy month, and it'll be 30 days of no food, no water, extra terrible acts, extra prayers, and extra sense of community. I'm looking forward to that. Another thing happened on April 2nd. I took a look at a SACB article titled "Cop Fired for Striking 14-Year-Old in Rancho Cordova Returns to Duty at Sheriff's Office." That's the title of the article. Not really that misleading, but what is misleading is to act as though Rancho Cordova fired this officer. The truth is we do not have the authority to fire officers. We have the authority to send them back into the pool from whence they came, which is the East Division of the Sheriff's Department. The East Division of the Sheriff's Department, however, has the freedom and ability to respond to calls in Rancho Cordova. In fact, their commander is our current chief, and that's the way our contract is designed. So playing musical chairs with bad apples does not keep my community safe. Further, in Lincoln Village, on the west side of Rancho Cordova, our students, our teenage boys, especially our black boys, still go to school in the East Division's area. So having a bad apple move back to the pool from whence he came does not protect my family or my teenage boys. It's not misleading for people to have concerns. You do need to address this. We don't talk openly about concerns. For example, the racist picture that was recently circulated or came forth, the truth about a picture being circulated in the Sheriff's Department. The investigation went away, went poof, when the former chief retired and she received her full pension, from what I understand. How come, or are we pursuing that investigation to be reopened Helen brought up a point last meeting that as the client, you guys, you do have the authority or the right to try and ask that, you can see files or have tabs on investigations. If that is not something we have agency over in our contract, then we should have a better contract. I do think that there needs to be more vetting. Officer Fowle, the one who beat the youth and got moved back to the county before he was fired and now reinstated. He's the reason why I looked into what goes into POP officers, because he was a POP officer at the time. We don't vet. The sergeant told me that they just put in, people want the assignment, they put in an application. If they have good work product, they get the job. There is no additional training for POP officers. We have nothing to keep a POP officer in place for any duration of time. So in Lincoln Village, we've had maybe 5 or 6 in the last 4 or 5 years. There is such a high turnover. They serve shorter terms than the mayor of Rancho Cordova. There's something faulty with that. It puts the community at risk. And for some reason, we can't weed out bad apples. We have no authority to follow things through, to investigate. And maybe it's time we have a different service provider for public safety, because there are issues abound, and it is costing you guys in legal fees and lawsuits.
Please wrap
So
up
there
your
is a
comments.
price. Thank you. There is much of eroded trust, and I don't think calling community members, as being wrong or misunderstanding things helps.
Thank
the
you,
situation.
Faiza.
You need to have these things addressed. Okay, have a good night. Happy birthday, Linda.
Thank you. Anybody else?
One speaker, Mark. Mark, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to speak.
Do we have Mark?
Mark, are you there?
Earth to Mark. I guess not. Okay? Is that all?
That's all the speakers that we have.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. All right, we're going to move on to council comments. And we are lacking Siri and Donald. So we will start with Garrett.
All right, give me 1 second. All right, so we've had a couple meetings. I'm going to start with the good stuff. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the middle, and then we're going to get into some stuff that I'm unhappy about. First off, great to see our air show. So excited. Can't wait for it to come back. Shelley, always amazing. Amazing. Met with the library commission. I'm actually the chair, sitting chair. Very cool, first black one, exciting. We have some exciting possible news, but I'm not allowed to talk about it because if I do, then it's a breach of trust. So I'm gonna say exciting news for the library, crazy, interesting things about to happen in the next steps. And then Linda and I sit on a board for the CHP and
HCP.
HCP. I helped start it. It took 20 years. It was amazing. I started it. The meetings last about 3.5 minutes. It's not extra government, I swear. But the good news is it allows people like these individuals that are about to stand up right now, help us build homes and houses in our region faster, with more efficiency and not so much government. So I'm willing to sit through many, 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 many very interesting integrated meetings about pond water just to make sure that we can have houses a little bit faster in Rancho Cordova. So, but very exciting. And the cool part is they're building these wetlands all over Rancho, which are going to be amazing things for my kids to have. Even when we have these nice houses, we're still going to have nature, which is always fun to go walk through because who doesn't want to go catch snakes and frogs and terrorize their parents with them? So those were the two meetings that I had. The next thing is there's a lot, interesting part is Rancho Cordova is changing. There's a lot of very interesting individuals that are coming in with very cool projects. And I haven't been reached out to so many different developers before and areas that people that want to come into our city. So I'm just going to give a good kudos to Cyrus because it's been a long time since I've seen developers and people with cool ideas to help with not only the, out in Mather, but around Rancho Cordova. People want to come do business with us, and that took years. I think I've been on council about 6 years to see that change. So kudos to Cyrus. I mean, it took a lot of cracking heads, but I think we're finally starting to flip that over to be a customer-facing, friendly place to actually develop, not someplace that's going to be a bad experience for you. So good on us. Okay, so I'm going to try to say this in ways. I was approached by a lot of individuals, and by a lot, I mean the leaders, maybe a couple hundred people that were concerned that the individual that was put back on to Sac County would show back up in our community, because the East Watch does cover Rancho Cordova and Rosemont, and technically our kids go to school in Rosemont, and so they were afraid. And so let me tell you, they will not be coming back to the East Watch. You guys can be safe. This individual, and I know you guys are scared, and I am. We are going to. It is about time we look at this contract, because there is some concerning stuff, and people are afraid. But you don't have to worry. We would never put someone that would make you guys feel concerned back into the community. So I think that's the most professional way I can say it. I'm sorry about the B article. I'm sorry that you guys read it, and I know how you could construe that they would be back put into our streets. I can totally read that in. But not only did I talked to Cyrus, who confirmed it, that individual will not be coming back to our city or back to the Rosemont area of the East Watch. You don't have to be afraid of that. We would never let that happen. And if he was to show up in that way, that would be such a breach of our trust in our law group that we would take immediate action as a city. That won't happen. You can feel safe with the individuals. We try to always get the best. The only reason for the contract that we have is so that we can pick and have the amazing individuals into our area. And if it's time for us to relook at that contract and see what kind of more support I can give Cyrus to be able to deliver different, we may have to look at that, because this is very concerning. But once again, I repeat, that individual will not be coming back into the city of Rancho Cordova or into the city of Rosemont. And so at that, I'm done. Thank you.
David.
Yeah, I'll be brief. We had a great tour of the youth center under construction. What was that, a week and a half ago or so? Mm-hmm. It's going to be an amazing space. We talked about its logo and the RCYC.
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 I'm telling you, Rancho
RCYC.
First Youth Center
is the chosen acronym for the Rancho Cordova Youth Center, but it is a beautiful space, and it is going to be truly amazing, and we've got a lot of plans for what we can do there, and we should, because it's been 20 years coming to actually get the resources in the right space and find the right partner to make these things happen. So this is going to be a huge thing for Rancho Cordova that I'm really happy about. Let's see, another great thing we did was open the girls softball complex at Mills Middle School. And that also has been a long time coming. I was thinking about it, how long that took, and the date when the deal was actually done that allowed us to use school district funding and city funding to complete what is now the region's best girls softball complex on school district property at Mills Middle School. And the actual deal happened in a room just behind us over here after, I think it was my January talk in like 2007 as mayor. And the school superintendent was here, and they were trying to renew, I think it was Measure N. They needed a Measure N update. And I said, wouldn't it be great if there was some sort of benefit for Rancho Cordova kids? Because at the time, we knew we had facility problems. Our park district had not provided facilities for youth sports. We had not been able to update those. They existed on school property by and large. We didn't have the resources at the time to spend millions of dollars updating a facility, but with the school bond, you could do things that would benefit kids. And so we basically made an agreement that said, the city will support this, and we will do our best to support the school bond measure, and the school district will in turn build a facility to benefit our youth. And at the time, I think we all thought it was going to be Little League Baseball. But because of complications, that they sit on a park district site and a school district site, very complicated site. Because of complications there, the obvious one that was easier to do was all on school district property, and that was girls softball. So now we have a tremendous facility and a great partnership between this city and the school district to get that done. So it was really exciting to finally cut that ribbon. 2 years late because of COVID, but we cut it and started using that facility, and to see that Rancho Cordova girls softball has record enrollment this year as a result, and they're going to be hosting more tournaments, which brings more kids here and gives more opportunities to our kids who are here, and as an economic stimulus for us. It is just good all the way around. So sometimes really good things and big investments take a long time to mature, from 2007 until 2022 for that one. Hopefully going forward with resources the city now has, we can turn things around quicker, but still do those sorts of partnerships, leveraging, those great community organizations like the Rancho Cordova girls softball organization. So that was a monumental achievement. The youth center is going to be a monumental achievement like that too. And let's see, finally, I'd like to thank city staff for working on this, this officer issue. There was a very unfortunate headline in the Bee, and city staff worked with the Bee to revise that. The headline basically suggested that we had made the decision to hire the officer back. That's not at all what happened, as you've probably now inferred. I think what was just referred to by one of our commenters was the subsequent headline that was replaced that. So thank you, Cyrus, and thank you for Maria for working on that issue. Finally, I'm going to participate in a White House data event on Thursday. It is an invitation thing, and they're bringing together some civic leaders to talk about how we best use data to help underprivileged communities. So I think because of my role here and our work in Rancho Cordova, trying to uplift particularly the older side of town, it's a particularly meaningful thing for me to participate in. So I look forward to representing you all there.
Super.
And happy birthday, Linda.
Thank you so much. I don't need more reminders. Thank you very much.
23 years old.
Girls softball was great. All those wonderful young ladies. I got the nicest thank you card from the team that I'm sponsoring, the Cordova Fury. And the great thing about Cordova Fury, one of the great things about Cordova Fury, I have sponsored them before, but the lady who is one of their coaches, her mom was a teacher here in Rancho Cordova for years and years and years, and I have sponsored their team before, so it's really great to do that again. The highlight of my day that day was to actually throw the stupid softball directly into the glove of the young lady who was on the other side of the field and was waiting to catch it. I couldn't believe it. It's taken me 20 years to learn to do that. Shelley, stop laughing. Phenomenal.
Now, former council members who, I'm sorry to interrupt, who will remain nameless on these arduous occasions when we have to throw the first pitch out, have done things like hit the upper part of the backstop on the pitch. Just for reference, that did us proud, Linda. We're very happy with your performance there.
Yeah, you look good. And plus, everyone that was there when we did the first throw with all of it, they lined us all up. It made us all throw the ball. We all hit, except for Don, that completely went over the head and hit someone in the back and knocked him out. I don't understand how he couldn't just throw down. Throw down. It was an overhand throw. There's really no excuse.
This is like an elected official's nightmare if you haven't
Yeah,
participated. It's
really
almost
is.
as bad
It
as
really
being in a dunk booth.
Because you will get booed. You can get booed while you're out there. And I've
embarrassed.
Seen it. Yeah, the River Cats game, they boo you as they get you off the field.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so just to clarify the HCP meeting that Garrett and I had, and Garrett is the chair this year, which is really nice. Garrett's kids are not allowed to play with those snakes and eels and whatnot. They're all protected by all the federal and state regulatory
Dang it!
agencies.
I knew
so-
there was something I did wrong.
Yeah, for sure. We also had a regional transit meeting, and our Assemblymember Cooley is going to he is carrying a modified bill that simply cleans up language about the governance of regional transit that it's never been cleaned up before in the 50 years of its existence. They are definitely experiencing employee shortages, and they continue to have hiring events. They have had, I think they had 2 last month, and another one coming up. They do actually have 14 new paratransit operators, but they're looking for 60 drivers, and they are offering a $2,000 signing bonus. So if anybody is interested in a job, then they should absolutely go see Regional Transit. Love the tour of the teen center. I have seen it evolve from the largest daycare center in the region to it's returning to its original purpose as a center for children to grow and to be inspired. And Shelley, I'm going to wait for you all to talk about things like the student art show. There's a lot of performance-based stuff coming up in Rancho Cordova just this week alone between the art show and the concerts. So I'll let you all mention that. Okay? And with that, we will go to our city manager. Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry. I have one item. I do want to adjourn this meeting in honor of a lady named Judith Schneider Godney. And it's not somebody you would necessarily remember, ladies and gentlemen, but for almost 3 decades now, she and her sister have been the ticket takers at the entrance to Hagan Park. Ever since we had to start charging fees to get into, for an automobile, not people, but for an automobile to get into Hagan Park, she and her sister have sat there faithfully, and she passed away on the 6th of March. Her dad, Otto, played Santa Claus for years and years and years because he looked exactly like Santa Claus with a big white fluffy beard. And so this is a family who's been, maybe their names weren't known, but they were known very, very well throughout Rancho Cordova. So we should adjourn tonight in her memory.
I coached her grandson, so I'm sorry to hear
Did
that.
you? Yeah. Super. And I will turn it over to Cyrus.
Okay, thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Just wanted to, I'll be very brief. I wanted to mention that at the council work session that we had last week, I did mention that I had a conversation with Supervisor Natoli, and he had dedicated $2 million of the ARPA, county ARPA funds to help the city with a homeless affordable housing project. So we are working on that. We're trying to also match that amount with some cities' fund, and we'll be going out for some RFPs to build an affordable housing project on the site next to Mather Veterans Village. So I wanted to take this opportunity and thank Supervisor Don Natoli for the contribution that he is making to the city. I also wanted to point out that the Youth Center tour was mentioned. I wanted to acknowledge that Congressman Ami Bera attended the tour, and he was also able to secure about $350,000 for earmark as part of the earmarks for the operations, the first year operation of the Youth Center. And lastly, May is Bike Month, and we are planning some activities in the month of May, including a community bike ride that we plan to, we're planning for Saturday, May 14th. So please mark your calendars. I know we have the iFest in the evening, but we would like to start the day with a bike ride. So please, it'd be great to see as many of you as possible for the bike ride we started one last year, and we had close to 100 people attending. So our goal is to double the number and have 200 people participate in the bike ride. So with that, I would provide additional updates along the way, but Saturday, May 14th is the day. And that's all I have, Madam Vice Mayor.
Super. Thank you, Cyrus. Okay, we're going to move into our consent calendar. Consent calendar items are deemed routine unless there is a question from the City Council or a member of the public, and they can be approved with one motion. So do we have any comment on items 9.1 through 9.5, Stacy?
The city clerk's office has not received any public comment, and I'm giving the public a moment to raise their hand in Zoom.
We should probably note that, as it says in the staff report, we are continuing the Planning Commission discussion because each of us gets a nomination, and we only have 3 people here today. So we want to make sure that all the council members are here for that discussion.
There are no hands that are raised in Zoom, and I don't have any public speaker cards.
Okay, Garrett or David, do you have?
I'll move items 9.1 to 9.5.
Second.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Gatewood.
Yes.
Councilmember Sander.
Aye.
Councilmember Pulapati is absent. Mayor Terry is absent. Vice Mayor Budge.
Yes, thank you. Motion carries. So our consent public hearing items has only 2 items on it. And I will open the public hearing and ask Stacy if there is anybody signed up to speak for either of those items.
The city clerk's office has not received any public comment for consent public hearing items, and I do not see any hands that are raised in Zoom.
Did anybody here tonight come to speak to the public hearing items, consent public hearing items? Then we'll close the public hearing.
I'll move
I
items.
see a hand raised.
Oops, I'm sorry.
So we're on 10.
10.1 and 10.2.
That's okay.
Thank you. Okay, we close the public hearing. David moved the item.
10.1 and 10.2.
Second.
Thank you, Garrett. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Sander.
Aye.
Councilmember Gatewood.
Aye.
Councilmember Pulapati is absent. Mayor Terry is absent. Vice Mayor Budge.
Yes. So those items carry. So we're going on to public hearing items. Stacy, you want to read the title?
Yes. 11.1, General Plan Amendments to the Safety Element for the Multi-Jurisdictional Local Hazard Mitigation Plan and the Land Use and Circulation Element for the Preserve Project Certification of an Environmental Impact Report, a rezone development agreement, and a tentative subdivision map for the Preserve Project DD 9835.
Okay, and we're going to turn it over to Darcy.
Good evening, Vice Mayor Budge, members of the council. Darcy Gallart with the Planning Department. Before you this evening is item 11.1, which includes general plan amendments and then the Preserve Project. The request this evening would be to certify an environmental impact report for the Preserve Project. We have 3 general plan amendments to discuss with you tonight. One for circulation, land use, and safety elements. A rezone of the property, a tentative subdivision map, and a development agreement. A little bit of background on the screen before you'll kind of see a general concept. That is the special planning area that's within the general plan. The project site is outlined in red. There was an old previous approval on this site for 1,100 units, referred to at that time as Heritage Falls or North Douglas 2. Here's another map that just shows the general location and context with some existing development. So to the south is a project known as North Douglas. And then you'll see the project site outlined here in the dashed black line. The first general plan amendment I'm going to go through, this is not project related to the actual Preserve project. As the council may know, we as a city get 4 general plan amendments a year. When we look at a general plan amendment, we can touch several elements of that general plan. You want to group them together so that you preserve additional general plan amendments for later in the year. So this first general plan amendment is for the safety element, again, not related to the Preserve project. March 7th, the council adopted the multi-jurisdictional local hazard mitigation plan.
So what we're doing is modifying some text within the general plan to reflect that adoption, and then we'll be adding a link that will take people to an online version of that mitigation plan. With that, I'm going to turn over the presentation now to Bob Shattuck. He's part of the development team, and he will handle the bulk of the presentation, and then we'll turn it back over to me to finish out.
Good evening, Bob.
Well, happy birthday.
Oh, gee, thanks.
Vice Mayor Budge, council members, it's a pleasure to be in front of you again after all these years. Wouldn't you know it, I get my first public hearing and who knows, and my voice is starting to walk away from me. We have our team here today with us. If there are any questions, they can help answer. We have with Wynn Communities, the applicant, we have George Carpenter, Tony Gahn, and Tom Wynn. We have Rich Radoisis, who's our engineer with RJA. We have Martha Lofgren, who's our attorney who worked with Adam on the development agreement. And I believe we have our CEQA attorney, Christopher Butcher, on the Zoom call. So we have the full crowd if you need us. There are quite a few slides. In the interest of my voice and your time, I'm going to try to move through them pretty quickly. Some are pretty duplicative, but I wanted to have them in case we needed them for reference for questions for you folks. So I'm going to start, unfortunately, by going backwards. I want to start here just to lay a little bit of groundwork. As Darcy pointed out, and I'm going to try to figure out how to make this pointer work. There we go. Is that? No. I'll just have to describe it.
It looks red.
Is it showing up?
Over there, I mean, in your finger it is.
Oh, Earth to Bob. No, it shoots that way. Okay. Just doesn't, yeah, it shows there, but I'm not making it.
He already did.
Aha.
That was our trick one. Gotcha.
See, maybe my aim is just really bad. Yep, it is. Okay, this is the project area, that area right there, the properties. And as Darcy mentioned, that area's been planned in the general plan for growth and development. And prior to the Great Recession, the few of you who probably can remember that far back, there were active applications for all three properties. They were homeowners out there, and there were active applications for all three properties before the city, including, as was mentioned, about 1,100 units. What we're proposing to do here is a scaled back plan that keeps development south of Morrison Creek, and it's 439 units. And what it allows us to do, in addition to bringing forward a project that's a better fit for the existing neighborhood and the existing infrastructure that's available, it also allows us to preserve the headwaters of Morrison Creek and some really important resources that are north of the creek, consistent with the South Sac HCP. So the elevator speech for the project is it's a scaled back project with that's a better fit for the HCP, but also for the existing neighborhood and the existing infrastructure. Now I'll move forward. Jumping ahead. The general plan amendment for land use is all that really is to accommodate the city's practice of when you approve a project, the land use designation goes from the planning area to the actual land uses approved. So if you approve the project, there will also be a general plan amendment to reflect the land uses approved. The general plan amendment for circulation, again, similarly, is to eliminate Centennial Drive, which was planned through the area that's no longer going to be developed. We looked at that with staff pretty carefully. The roadway really didn't serve a purpose without the surrounding development. It's not accessible to the folks from the existing neighborhood because you have to get across the creek, and it It didn't really provide a connection to any destination for Rio de Oro. We talked to the folks with Rio de Oro. They agreed with that. We also looked at did a traffic analysis, and it didn't have any new significant traffic impacts. The whole network still works. And even if you look at the new VMT metric, it didn't move the needle. So it seemed to make sense all the way across the board. Also, it's an extremely difficult road to build across the preserve in a way that would have been consistent with state and federal laws. The rezone, again, super simple, is just to reflect the land use plan that's proposed. So here's the land use plan. I'll spend just a little bit of time with this just to point out a few things. First is the street pattern is a modified, as you can see, a modified grid, short blocks, really walkable, very few cul-de-sacs. Where we have cul-de-sacs, you'll notice that there are pedestrian corridors that make important connections. And we also did additional pedestrian corridors that make a strong connection from the existing neighborhood up to the amenities, out for people to be able to get to the amenities. And then again, make it easy, no matter where you live in here, just a couple, 3 blocks and you can get to the trail and to the parks and to the neighborhood greens and whatnot. In addition, we took the CRPD parks, the city community places, and neighborhood greens, open spaces, and green infrastructure, and integrated them all into an amenity along the project edge. That's all coordinated. It is with the city trail system, all connected. And again, anybody can get there in just a few short blocks.
Bob, a question actually might be more for my staff than it is for you, but this is a perfect slide to discuss it. So we've got this preserve here at the northern end of this project, and it's a very interesting resource. I don't know if these 2 bodies of water are seasonal or year-round, or how year-round they are. Probably varies by rainfall in the year or something.
Those existing ponds are they dry up a little bit during sometimes in really dry summers, but they're visible on the aerials pretty much year round.
Okay.
Most of the time.
My point is it possible to get trails around this preserve, through the preserve? We have had this issue before, dealing with the agencies. They don't want you to touch it, they don't want you to look at it, they want a giant chain link fence around it. But that's not the best way to deal with, in my view, environmental issues. It's better if people can appreciate it for what it is and actually experience it and make it an amenity so they understand what's being protected and why. We've had some success with this. We got a trail through a preserve in a more southern neighborhood. Is something like that going to be possible here, where you could go either through it, do something in it, or just circumnavigate it?
Yeah, well, what we have right now is the trail is right on the edge of the preserve all the way around. That's the trail. And there are a number of overlooks where you can sit and observe and look at wildlife and whatnot that will be utilizing the ponds. So that area is pretty well featured right now, but it is also literally Morrison Creek. That's dammed up portions of Morrison Creek. And we have setback requirements. So we haven't proposed anything in there. It is something that potentially you could work out with the Southsec HCP. There are encroachments that are possible for trail systems, but there's a lot of rules on them. In our proposed trail system, you wouldn't want your main trail system to be that. And so we don't have any of that proposed at the moment.
So I would propose, if there's some sort of a loop that we could do here around this, if we can't go through it, around it, that would be quite an amenity for this part of Rancho Cordova. It'd be like a nature loop, a nature tour you could go on in that area. And this is sort of like the end of the line for for our bikeways and our pedestrian paths. I don't know exactly where you'd go east of here, except to the trail, I guess it's on Grant Line Road, or will be on Grant Line Road eventually. So planning staff, can you foresee if we were to undertake that, how would we go about that?
So as part of the project, the whole area to the north, which I think Bob will have some slides that will zoom out and you can see a little bit greater the preserve area. That entire area is being done separately with the SSCA to enter all of that into the preserve. And I think, Bob, you have a slide that shows the greater preserve system kind of going through there.
I do.
We can certainly work with Kim Hudson at the SSCA to see if there's an ability to put some sort of a pedestrian trail through there. As Bob was alluding to, now that we have the Habitat Conservation Plan, the requirements are pretty stringent. It's possible, it's not impossible, but it is costly. So we would have to work with them. We can definitely start that conversation at the TAC level.
Actually,
So Linda,
there was the one that we just approved on Monday for Shallico actually included call it a bridge trail for lack of anything better, through a preserve down in the Sun Creek area.
Yes.
So at least they're still considering it. You know, that door is not closed, but I think this is one of those things where having that larger exhibit might be more illustrative, because there's a place here where it's county, not city, also.
That is correct. And it gets a little more difficult when we're dealing with features such as a creek that then flow into greater waters. So it just becomes a little more difficult and a challenge versus just having the strict preserve. This area also has some very unique resources such as ore-cut grass, which we don't see pretty much anywhere else within the county. So this is a pretty unique preserve system up in that area. That's why I say it's not impossible. It just, unfortunately, for this section of the preserve is almost infeasible just based on the cost and what we'd have to do. But it's not out of the question. We can look into it.
So Linda, would we have to do that at our?
Yeah, they all would make an application to Kim, and then she would bring it forward.
And so is it just, we need the votes, or is it more like the environmental study would be so expensive that?
No, it isn't that. Obviously, they would need to determine, the applicants would need to determine what the cost of that is and whether or not it's feasible and could connect to something else that would make it worthwhile to spend the money to do it.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I don't think it's feasible for the applicant to do it. It is one of those things that once, it's in public ownership with HCP, and the city as a planned partner could have a discussion that would probably might be more fruitful. The complication here, as Darcy brought up, is there are special rules that apply to stream setbacks, and especially to named streams and important streams like Morrison Creek, that don't apply, for example, on the crossing you just did with Shallico, that kind of thing. So it's more complicated. Bottom line is, the last thing they want, or what they will be resistant to, and the they is not just the HCP, it's the federal agencies that would have to sign off, is the concern that, people like me would want to take our kids down there and feed the ducks, and that.
Or steal the snakes like Garrett.
Garrett's.
Listen. That's a gardener snake. Now, there's lots of those, and there's rattlers in our neighborhood, so it's only a couple.
But yeah,
But I don't think it would be feasible for the applicant to do.
Because you're getting into the whole discussion of somebody needs to decide on a consistent definition for waters of the U.S. That
A
kind
whole
of thing.
host of related issues, yes.
Absolutely. Got it.
But we have tried, Councilman Sander, to take advantage of those features. We're a little elevated from them, and we're gonna have some really good spots to, be able to rest, relax, and watch what's going on.
So the driveways, the houses, the other paths and things that are out there now, all that's to be leveled, basically?
Well, no, they'll probably be left, but they will not have it be publicly open. they're private roads as they speak. They'll probably be left, I think. It's not anything we would be handling, so.
Because you can't tell from this map, from this site plan,
About what?
if, are any of those houses in this particular area?
Yeah, one of them's right there.
Are two or
On sort
three
of
of
the
them right
left,
there?
Yeah, the homes will be removed, but that are on our proposed project within the development. What happens on the preserve will be up to the HCP.
Ah, okay.
Okay,
Yeah, one more thing before I lose
Bob.
this is just, oh, I'm sorry,
no, go ahead.
one more thing before I lose this one is it's important to some of the feedback that we'd gotten before and to the city, but we will be putting a signal at Grant Line along with entry monumentation and landscaping that will make it a nice entry to the city there, and also really improve the safety of that intersection.
We got a public comment about that.
Okay.
People looking forward to improved, safe intersections.
I've covered all the stuff on this, I don't need to hold it. This is just a color-coded map that helps you see how all the pieces fit together a little easier than the illustration. These areas right here in this light olive are the CRPD parks. These two kind of connecting areas are the city open spaces. They will include all kinds of amenities and turf areas and shade structures and benches and that kind of thing. And then this area in the darker green is what is being referred to as green infrastructure in your open space plan. But what that really is there's a detention hydromod basin, but there's also something you haven't seen a lot of yet, but these bioretention swales, which are much more shallow, and they're part of the new way of dealing with runoff. They really serve a lot of the same function that natural wetlands do. And they're, that's all there. And then the other dark greens here are the enhanced pedestrian connections. Again, just to call them out so you can see pretty easily how we're doing that. Pretty strategic in that attempt. This is just a conceptual plan for Park Site 1. The actual park will be designed by CRPD, so just to give you some idea. Same thing with Park Site 2. This one is a little bit, I'm trying to think of a good example for you. It's really gonna be a nice park in that it's tiered. So you can look over it, it'll look really attractive. And we have parking along that roadway, identified parking for about 17 spaces. So it makes for a nice place where you can have small community events, that kind of thing. The purpose of this slide is just to demonstrate the kinds of amenities and things that would be involved with this network. You've got shade structures, benches, integrated park sites, and in a trail system all the way running through. And then the next slide shows that it's just also a great opportunity. We've been working with the city for some public education signage. For example, this is the headwaters of Morrison Creek. It runs all the way down to the Casitas. And so, there's some educational signage opportunities along the way. Good naming. We're planning to have overlooks and turf areas named not after people, but after the kinds of resources that are associated with this preserve, kinds of wildlife that's available.
I like the badger bench. and it's very interesting seeing the David Sander turtles. So
these next three are pretty quick. These are the conceptual designs for the connecting open spaces. It's a lot of low maintenance landscaping, but with shade trees and ornamental trees and turf areas and places to rest and relax and kind of enjoy the peace and quiet a little bit, less active than the park areas. And this is the second one, very similar concept. And then this is the green infrastructure area with the bioretention and detention basins and the landscaping. And the trail is a little harder to visibly pick up, but this is the trail as it works its way around. It also goes all the way around the basin. And there are overlooks planned to be able to, you see, get really close here, Councilman Sander, to the pond area, and the ability to kind of overlook it without interfering with the wildlife. This is a good one to show you. We've been talking a lot about the trail system and the string of parks as a project amenity. But what it really is a really important and key trailhead for the city's overall trail system. It will end up connecting all the way to the trail that will run along the connector. And it goes into Rio de Oro and connects to through the trails in Rio de Oro all the way to the trail network that's south of Douglas, but also all the way up here, and it doesn't show all the way, but all the way to the American River Parkway. It'll be just an amazing, when that whole trail network is built out, this is going to be an amazing place for people.
Super.
The development agreement, I'm not going to spend much time on. If you have questions, probably Adam and Martha are the best bets for that. I'll just point out two of the items that are listed here, the CC&R enforcement and property maintenance code that the city likes to see is incorporated, and as is affordable housing fee. In summary, my elevator speech for the project again is it's a scaled down project that is a better fit, I think, for the existing neighborhood, for the existing utilities, and it works, resolves the conflicts, the potential conflicts with the South Sac HCP in a way that I think works out pretty nicely, and hopefully provides really a signature amenity on that edge of the city and trailhead for your system. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. I guess I need to hand it off to Darcy first.
Thank you, Bob. Well, let's ask if any other member of your team wanted to speak tonight.
I think only in response to questions if we need it.
Okay. Garrett or David, do you all have additional questions for Bob or staff?
I do not, other than to speculate on the crazy boundary that you guys have been living with, right? Of our city boundary there not aligning with Grant Line, that sort of slice of county land that's still there. At some point, we have to work to resolve that. And I hope that nothing you're planning would make that difficult or challenging.
Yeah, I don't think so. We were careful, and so was staff, to try to make sure that wasn't the case. Part of, what may happen is the whole Raymer Way alignment may changes, and probably will when you go to,
Yeah.
and if that area gets planned.
Since we're cutting across it.
Right.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, we're cutting across it.
Right. The connection point to the connector will stay the same, but
Okay.
how Raymer gets to that point will probably change when you have a project in front of you.
Yeah, it would make sense to leave it in the county. That's got to be on our
Yeah, for
to-do
sure.
list to fix that silly boundary, along with some others.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Bob. Darcy, did you have additional?
Yes, I'll just do a quick wrap up. In terms of CEQA, an environmental impact report was prepared for the project. That is part of your staff report, the draft as well as the final. Staff followed the process in terms of the required notice of preparation and a scoping meeting. It was released for 45 days. 8 comment letters were received, and those were addressed in the final EIR. Nothing that was submitted required recirculation of that document. So as part of your approval tonight, you do have a statement of overriding consideration, as well as the mitigation monitoring and reporting program.
Okay.
So with that, before we go into the motions which are on the screen, City Attorney would like to provide some clarification on a couple changes on the DA ordinance, just to enter those into the record.
Okay. Adam, are you
Thank
there?
you, Darcy. Yes, I am. Thank you, Darcy. Good evening, council and staff and community. We had in front of the council and available for the public for review in City Hall and available, it will be posted online as well. A slightly modified development agreement ordinance. It just identifies the additional developer partner and also identifies that particulars with respect to the effective date of the ordinance with respect to the acquisition and fee title of 2 of the pieces of property that's the subject of the DA.
Okay, thank you. So at this point, we're going to open the public hearing. And Stacy, I know that we had at least one person who wanted to speak
Yes.
to the item. And we did receive at least one public comment today.
We received 2 public comments via email. The first is from Luis Mejia. The second is from Michael and Joanne Cofero. Those have been distributed to the city council, made available to the public in the back of the room, and are also on the city's website. We do have one individual who is in the room to address the council, and then I will go to Zoom. And is it Dan? Don Ross. Don, if you'll come forward, you'll have up to 3 minutes.
Hello, council members, Vice
Welcome.
Mayor. I'm in full agreement that I'd like the city to grow quickly, but in the right way, in the right places. I'd written an email to the planning manager here about 5 months ago. I received no response back, so that's why I'm here to make sure and read this in today. I live in the Kensington Estates, which is right there off of Raymer, so I fully see a lot of the natural environment that goes on around me there. So if you'll oblige me here. I wish to provide information as to the home and migration of numerous varieties of birds that this development would severely impact. I've lived in the Kensington Estates since my home was built in 2018. And at that time, I was like the last home, and then, of course, another block was added and so on. I've been a witness with videos of at least 20 varieties of birds, not including multiple varieties of waterfowl that make the area their home or move through the area on their annual migration. I believe my home development was built on a natural bird estuary and a resting area for migrating birds of several varieties. I'm no bird expert, but there are many varieties and colors I had never seen before. I believe the housing development I live in was drastically affected the natural habitat of the flight path. Of course, I'm living there and I'm seeing this, and my home's affected this. And I see that more homes may affect this even greater unless it's done correctly. And I see there is some nice things that are planned for the preserve. And the preserve is a perfect name for it. I strongly believe this because I have witnessed the bird's seasonal habitation of the land being considered for the preserve project. This will harm the varieties that make the area their seasonal home and those that use this land to feed and the rest as they migrate. I'd like to request a thorough study be conducted on the seasonal and migratory species that make this land their home. And I guess that's what I thought I might get when I sent a letter to the planning department to see if something would come back that said, hey, we're looking at this, we're concerned too, and we want to do it right. So those are my concerns. I wanted to make sure those are brought forth. And just like it said, I'd love to see the city grow quickly, but in the right places and with the right protection for the natural habitat. So, thank you.
Thank you, Don. We would probably refer you to the EIR for that information. Next speaker.
The city clerk's office does not have any other speaker cards, and the hand that was raised in Zoom is now down, and so I don't see any hands that are raised.
Did anybody else come to speak to this item tonight?
There's one in the back.
Yes, I see one. Go ahead.
You mentioned the email.
No, come up to the microphone, please.
My name's Joanne Cafaro.
Hang on, Joanne. We can't hear you until you get to the microphone.
My name is Joanne Cafaro, and my husband and I together sent an email that you guys just mentioned a little while ago. And I just wanted to make sure you, because I'm not seeing streets or anything. I don't read maps very well. But we just saw the sign there's a post right off Raymer that's up there now. And that's how I found out about what's being developed.
And we purchased our home on Evanston Way as a premium lot with a view, backing up to a pasture. So this proposed development behind us would greatly impact our living space. However, it has been my unfortunate experience that my little assertion will probably not halt this development. Therefore, in all fairness, perhaps some concessions could be made in the form of mitigating the way the development proceeds. Most homes these days seem to be two-story with little to no backyards. Again, in all fairness, conceivably one-story elevations could back to existing one-story homes, as well as distance or easements from the back fences would be a conceding offering from the builders. This accommodation would not wholly please, but it would at least appease the established homes in this part of the neighborhood. So that's our concern. We bought our home thinking nothing was going to be, developed in the back of us. And finding this out has been very upsetting.
Thank you, Joanne. We understand. Unfortunately, that happens a lot in growing neighborhoods.
Yeah, well, they told us that nothing would be back there, so I would have bought another house in Lincoln.
We understand. Anybody else? Yes. Court?
I just have one question about this thing. I got a notice the other day about my water rate going up again because the company's not making enough profit. Now, the only thing I saw there was 296 houses, which isn't all that much. So I did a quick thing on the EPA. What does the average house use in water in a year? The average house how much would 296 houses use in a year? That development, roughly 40 million gallons. Do we have an answer to where we're gonna start getting water from? I think we need to stop building and start addressing the water issue because we got a huge drought we're starting to deal with. There's no way we can build anything. And the answer is to keep charging us more and giving us less, right? Because sooner or later, nobody's gonna have a pool, nobody have anything. We'll all be having rock ground. And when you get to that, and we're still building houses, then what's the answer? The answer isn't the dam up there. Okay, that's all I got to say. Thank you. Hope you guys got an answer to that.
Thank you, Court. Anybody else? Okay, then we will close the public hearing and ask if there's any more questions for staff.
I guess we could mention a court or refer court to our staff. There's a very extensive water analysis that goes on with any development in California, no matter where you are in California. And if you do not have adequate water supplies available for a given development, basically at the state level, things are stopped.
Because of Aerojet. We know that. They ruined the water, and that's why we've been closing the wells for the last 15 years.
Thank you, Court. So if we don't have any questions for staff, then are we ready for a motion?
So moved.
You need to make a more extensive motion than
Okay,
that,
I'd like
please.
to approve general plan amendment to the safety elements for the multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan and land use and circulation element for the preserve project, certification of an environmental impact and the rezone development agreement and tentative subdivision map, preserve project DDS 9835.
With the note that the environmental document is adequate and appropriate and that we are adopting a statement of overriding concerns.
All that, second.
Thank you. Wow, that was a lot. And
could you include in the
And the
Mr. Gay,
MMRP.
would you mind including in the
MMRP. Garrett includes that in his motion.
and the MN marketing.
And seconded.
And so does David.
and Madam Mayor, would you mind including in the motion with the development agreement ordinance as amended?
Good Lord. And I would like to add the development agreement ordinance.
As amended.
As amendment. I will take that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good Lord. Could you just write it out
Thank
next
you.
time? 'Cause it's
Seconded.
Great. We have a motion and a second. Stacy, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Gatewood,
I'm going to say aye, but I'm very excited about seeing this project, and I know you guys have taken a lot of time and interest to protect my citizens, protect the environment, and we are just overly excited to see this project move forward.
Councilmember Pulapati is absent. Councilmember Sander?
Aye.
Mayor Terry is absent. Vice Mayor Budge?
Yes, thank you. Motion carries. Congratulations, gentlemen. Okay, so we're going to break for only 5 minutes to allow community council to get set up.
Community council.
Well, the arts department to get set up, whatever. Okie dokie, we're going to call this meeting back to order. Thank you all very much. And we will go on with calendar item 12.1. Stacy.
12.1, update on fiscal year 2022 through 2023 Community Enhancement and Investment Fund applications received for council consideration.
And we will turn it over to the other Stacy.
Thank you and happy birthday.
Jeez, you guys.
We have to keep the tradition going. So thank you for having me this evening. I'm Stacy Delaney and I'm the Community Enhancement and Investment Fund Senior Management Analyst. And tonight I'll be presenting information on the Community Enhancement and Investment Fund, specifically Measure H and the grant applications that we received during this latest call for applications. I didn't know I had the clicker, so.
That's probably the one Bob couldn't get to work.
So tonight is the start of the conversations about the fiscal year 22-23 Community Enhancement and Investment Fund. So this will be the first of several meetings that will take place through April and into May with the goal of adopting the approved budget at the first council meeting in June. And I'm going to start off by providing a brief overview of the Community Enhancement Investment Fund, what the budget allocations have been this current fiscal year that we're in, what those projections would look like for fiscal year 22-23. I'm going to provide a high-level overview of the grant applications that we received during this latest grant cycle. And then I also want to let you know that a copy of each of the grant applications that were submitted to us is included in tonight's agenda packet, as well as the initial grant summary. When I come back on April 18th, it will include greater detail such as the recommendations being made and things of that nature, but tonight is just a high-level overview. And believe it or not, this is the 8th time that we have done a grant application cycle. The first cycle started in 2015, and we just concluded the grant application period on March 18th of 2022. And before we jump into talking about the next grant cycle, or the one that was just submitted, it'll be important to review what we are currently operating at. So right now, Council had approved a budget of $10 million, and that was for the fiscal year 21-22 budget. We are anticipating that the revenues are going to come in higher, probably closer to $11.2 million. So when we talk about the discussion starting April 18th and the recommendations being made, part of that discussion will include where should the additional $1.1 million go. That could either take place at the April 18th council meeting or the budget or the April work session that will be on April 26th. And when we look forward to the estimated budget for fiscal year 22-23, we anticipate that it's going to be closer to $11.4 million. And that's just specifically Measure H I'm talking about. So this slide represents how the current Community Enhancement Fund Measure H project allocations have been split. So in fiscal year 21-22, you can see that approximately 24% of the budget went towards those long-term legacy fund projects. These projects in the past have been things like the girls softball project or the pool project. Community grants made up approximately 26%. Now that's a roll-up of the arts, culture, history, entertainment, and sports category, as well as education and other. Public safety was 17%, public works 13%, community and economic development was 15%, and then the administration and the communications of the fund is set at 5%. So again, this was based on the $10,094,000 budget that was approved. When we look forward to fiscal year 22-23, right now, just for conversation purposes, this is based upon the historical averages. So if we take the first 7 years of what's been approved and break it down by these key community priority areas, it would mean that these percentages would be carried forward when we start discussing both the internal department allocations, what will constitute community grants, as well as the legacy fund. So again, this is just roughly based on the $11.4 million budget that we're anticipating. And when I come back, starting April 18th, we'll dive deeper into what will actually make up these buckets. This is just another way of looking at the two pie charts. So you can see side by side, based upon the $10 million budget that was approved, the middle column represents the actual allocations by those priority areas. What's on the right is the estimate based upon taking into account those historical averages and just applying that towards this for discussion purposes. But the final budget will be determined based upon which items council approves and which items make that final list when we adopt the resolution on June 6th.
The infrastructure public works line is boosted significantly more than others. Is there a reason for that?
It was down a little bit last year because in the Measure R budget, it accounted for $4 million in infrastructure projects, and there was some additional projects approved out of the community grants. Therefore, that one was lowered to balance the budget. But if we look at the historical averages going forward, actually going back 7 years to the current year, it's closer to 1.8 million based upon an $11.4 million budget.
Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and just briefly talk about the Community Enhancement Fund grant applications that were submitted. So during the timeframe of February 7th to March 18th, 94 grant applications were received by the city. One was withdrawn during that period, leaving 93 for consideration. Those 93 applications totaled approximately $10 million, just slightly over than that. And if we compare that to this past funding cycle, we had 82 grant applications and they totaled approximately $5 million. So the grants that were submitted this year were much larger compared to the prior year's grant submittals. So out of the $10 million of grant applications submitted, we anticipate at this time that the recommendations are going to be somewhere near 2.85 million. That's based upon 25% of the budget going towards community projects. So again, that's the arts, culture, history, entertainment, sports, education, and other. And those recommendations will be shared starting with the April 18th City Council meeting. So tonight, we're not looking to make any formal budget decisions. This is really an opportunity to just discuss how the process is going to work and to let you know which meetings that we're looking to discuss this item. So when I come back on April 18th, that will be the start of the recommendations. So I anticipate at this time that it would include the grant applications that were submitted and possibly the internal department allocations and the legacy fund. Some of those might also be carried over into the April 26th work session. We will also come back May 2nd and continue any review of community grant applications needed, as well as May 16th. Ideally, council should make the decisions by May 16th, but no later than May 24th if we have a budget work session on that date. The goal ultimately would be to adopt the resolution on June 6th, which would make it concurrent with the city's budget process. And if you don't have any questions or comments, that does conclude tonight's presentation about the Community Enhancement and Investment Fund. And then I would come back April 18th for the next round.
Garrett or David, questions? Oops. Garrett or David, questions for staff?
I've got one, sort of maybe a continuation of the discussion about available resources.
Sure.
But we have been kicking around, Stacy and Cyrus, this issue of the remodel of the locker room at Cordova High. And the addition of a steeplechase facility to the track at Cordova High. And both of these are sort of urgency items, as we understand it. Just in background, council members, the school district undertook a remodel of the locker rooms at the gym facility at Cordova. They were in not good repair. I think they've spent, Cyrus, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but something in the order of $700,000 or $800,000, finding a lot more problems than they realized they had in the structure. And I know this, I've got a personal history with it, going back to my foster son when he was a student there. And the lockers, I think, in the facility were from the 60s, and they were easily broken into and stuff, you know, stolen or unsecure. The room was basically sort of unsecure. So they've undertaken a process to update that, but at this point, they're out of money available for rehab. And so what they're proposing to do is reuse the old lockers. And that does not seem like an acceptable option for our kids. It's not the sort of standards that we establish, certainly in this council, or standards that we would find applicable, you know, to Measure H projects. So my proposal is that, Stacy, you probably have a number available for how much surplus we have sitting in Measure H at this point, stuff that wasn't spent last year, unexpected revenue. But as an urgency item, because they would need to do this before school started in September, get these installed, which means they need to be ordered quite quickly, that we would undertake the cost of that ordering. And in addition, there's one other item that came up as an urgency. They found it necessary to resurface the track at Cordova High. And we had a discussion here more than a year ago talking about track facilities at Cordova. And you've heard some of the success we've had with track facilities at Cordova, attracting track meets and creating new opportunities for our kids. But the one event that we are unable to do is the steeplechase. That's the race over hurdles where you have to literally jump through water in order to compete. So it's very popular, very fun for kids, but it's not a high school sport in California. And so high schools typically don't have this facility. It's sort of like the Hammer facility, which we arranged to get donated and erected there last year as part of Measure H. So if we had steeplechase facility, that would give Cordova High the ability uniquely in the region to host all of the youth track events. It's the one gap we've got. The equipment to add it, if they're redoing the track, this would be the time to add it. The equipment to do it is less than a $50,000 expense, maybe less than a $25,000 expense. It just depends on what's available and when, because this is somewhat of an urgent matter. But I would propose that we ask staff, this is within Cyrus's decision-making authority, to pursue those items. The locker room, I think, would require us to come back on a consent and authorize that. But we could certainly, you know, if we were interested and willing, give direction for staff to pursue those now and come back in the future with the charge. I'm certainly interested in this because if we had steeplechase, that would complete all of the USATF events. All of them could now be held at Cordova. We're already attracting track meets, but this would set us apart above and beyond what any other facility really could compete with us in having. It sets up our kids in Rancho Cordova for college success. So I can tell you, as an example, we have that hammer cage now at Cordova. No high schools in California have hammer cages. It's not a high school sport. But we have a kid who competed here in Rancho Cordova, who went to the Junior Olympics last year representing us in hammer throw, who's now going to go to college and also do hammer throw, only because that facility is there. Now imagine magnifying that over future years. You know, we're going to have other hammer throwers. We're probably going to have javelin throwers, also not a high school sport. We could have steeplechase kids as well. It's like a cross-country race through water. But if you can't get those marks anywhere else, you can here. It's an advantage to whoever can do it here. And it's an advantage for Rancho Cordova kids.
David, can I ask, I don't want to be the wet blanket, but I have a question.
Yep.
Water and the track, does that preclude homecoming game from having a homecoming parade?
No, it's off the track. They build a tiny little diversion area where you're running on the track, then you leave the track, jump the hurdle, go through the water, then go back onto the track. So it's next to it, not on it.
Okay.
But if they're resurfacing the track, then they also need to add that bit, which is what triggered the need. They have determined in the past month or two, they need to resurface the track. So it's either do it now or wait a decade.
Yeah, and we understand that, and unfortunately, yes, the track needs to be resurfaced, but every time they do that, then they keep the parade off the track for 3 years. It's like a 3-year break-in period or something like that.
Really, I
And,
wasn't aware of that.
yeah, and Shelley and I get called on every year to help them put together the parade, and so I just wanted to ask.
Well, we could certainly investigate that in it. I know that the surface they're proposing this year is different than the one they had before. So maybe it's thicker, so
Okay.
maybe it's more durable
Yeah.
with regard to that. I don't have that technical
Well, Josh
detail.
Krieger should be involved in that conversation.
That's a very, we can add that
Because
to
he's the
the,
student activities
to the
guy.
list.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's a good point.
Krieger could weigh in on that.
So, I've had some issues with them right now. So giving them any amount of money after what I've been beat up with the constituents coming to me, doesn't make a lot of sense. Unless something's happened and I'm not aware of it, because I know there was some meetings. I don't want to blow everybody up or put people on blast, but for us to give more money to a situation where they threw away my equipment doesn't make a lot of sense to me right now. So they would have to come with some serious stuff, because I'm at the opinion that we give them nothing. And I know that's new for us, and we're a very giving community in our city, but if they're not supporting the people that are out here in the room, then why are we writing them a check? Because I'm very unhappy with it. Not to mention that I don't know how schools on the other side of town can have whatever they want, but we can barely get our locker rooms replaced, even though they ran out of money. But I know they're still building stuff in other schools. They did some bad stuff, and if they don't come to us and apologize to the community that had that happen, why are we writing them checks? And I feel bad, because it's like that's our only, I almost feel like they've let us down to the point where we have to build our own track. Like, go find our own track and buy some land and build the Rancho Cordova track and then have everything hosted there. But for us to give more money to a group that seems to be kicking people right now, they really need to come to us with some serious, they threw away our equipment. They literally threw away our equipment without an apology. And I still haven't gotten an apology like that, or we're gonna refund them. So I don't know why we would go to them and be like, hey, you can have some more. They're just gonna kick us again. Like, we need to be walking at an even pace with them. They need to come with some agreements. What they did to our track coach is unacceptable, or our group. That just doesn't happen. So what are my guarantees that they're not just going to beat on us again after we give this money to them?
That's a very good question.
So
I'm because we constantly, sitting at this dais, have to parse that, right? If you're dealing with a challenging situation, there are people affected by the challenging situation.
Yeah.
There are people responsible for the challenging situation. And I think at some level, we have to separate those two. Because, for example, if we didn't do these items, who we're damaging in the end is not the school district. We're damaging the kids. The school district is the intermediary. So I would suggest we demonstrate continued faith in our kids and in our programs, but use this as leverage on all those issues you just mentioned.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but I'm more along the lines of, here's the carrot, but I have yet to see the stick work at all. And the fact that they've hurt some of our kids and programs and threw our stuff away, still not getting over that, or locked up our throwing pit, that's aggressive against us. So unless they want to come and say mea culpa and that won't happen again and figure out a remedy, why would, you say it's not hurting the kids, but the kids are already getting hurt all the time by them. They don't even have lockable gym equipment. The lady sitting out there had to replace all the gym equipment. She literally, on her own dime, Mrs. Larette went and actually resurfaced all the gym equipment and all the weight equipment. So giving them more money doesn't help them. They're getting hurt. So they need to come to the table and start to show how they're going to help us before we write them a check. And it's funny because I was a thrower. I was a shot putter, discuser. I think that was, back when San Juan was good. Go Spartans. Thank you.
I didn't know
appreciate
you were
it.
that old.
Now, listen here. We were amazing back then. We dominated everyone. Not Rancho, because Rancho was too good. That was back when Rancho just beat everybody. I think because the track coach could call in people from other cities to just fly in and play for him. I'm not going to say I've
Air Force recruitment, is that what you're alleging?
yeah, just amazing how you guys had all the best football players in the country. But that being said, I mean, you're on that board, right? That's your 2x2?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have some concerns at this point. So I'm down to always help out Rancho kids, whatever puts us a thing. But like, we have other programs that have to battle and strive just for little ducats and dollars. Like I want you, like I'll trust you. You come back to me and you tell me you got some guarantees that the situations that we're dealing with right now have been remedied to where you feel that you're comfortable. Because I know we can't have too many council members in there and over 3. But if you tell me that that's been situated, then I'm fine. But I'm not getting yelled at by the community and giving money to a pit where they seem to not be taking care of us, but yet they'll take care of everybody else on the other side of town.
Well, that's quite a challenge, David.
Well, yeah, there's a lot there, and I won't go into any details here, but Garrett is correct in most of the stipulations about challenges that exist. I mean, certainly, yeah, 2 weeks ago, I was at a very interesting mental point dealing with the multitude of them. Cyrus is aware of it, I think. I've had conversations about it. I have a meeting tomorrow about part of it. Further meeting, I think, with Shelley, who's here in the room, and Cyrus in about 2 weeks.
Thank you, Shelley.
I think, dealing with a different part of it. So I do think, though, that we need this sort of ongoing support as leverage to demonstrate, that we are committed to those kids. And I would be perfectly willing to, rescind this sort of support if we're not able to make progress, because it would not be acceptable to continue on status quo. I totally hear you on that.
Okay, so you all can get back to Stacy by the time she brings stuff back to decide whether this is a good idea or not.
Yeah, I would suggest if the 3 of us have like verbal support for this idea, that Cyrus can be empowered to go forward.
Yeah.
As he sees fit as our city manager, because nothing here, I don't think, violates that limit except for that purchase of lockers. That's going to be more than your limit.
That's correct. And what I wanted to say, Council, is with respect to capacity, as Stacy mentioned, we have some, our actual revenues are higher than the estimate, and we also have had some cost savings. So we'll be able to cover the cost. So if the council can support the proposal, as mentioned by Councilmember Sander, we can proceed with the work and formalize it at a future meeting, of course, contingent on them performing and making sure that the right steps are taken to protect the investment.
That's it this time.
So-
Like, they'll get nothing if they throw my stuff away again.
Yeah.
Like that, this is the first time, I've never heard of someone doing this. So put in the sticks this time that protects not only my kids that are over there, but our investment. I've never heard of a school district ever doing this to their partner. We're the only city in the region that dumps this amount of money into the school districts. No one else. Not Elk Grove, not Folsom, not Galt, nobody. We're the only ones that are backing up our kids and showing. I mean, we show up every time. So that's being said. And it's just crazy to me that I don't have a partner in this battle right now. Sorry, I've had so many people yelling at me about this situation that it's just consistent. So if we're putting money this time, there is some leverage for us to pull it back, because I'm not having the same situation happen again. I'm just not going to sit here and argue with it. I'll just be the no vote and be like, why? And then I'll tell everybody why this keeps happening to us. So, thank you.
So I think what the next step will be is We will bring an action, potentially on consent calendar to the next meeting. We need to figure out what the cost is and how much funds are needed to formalize the decision, but we will also continue our dialogue with school staff and make sure that the investments are protected. I think that's the way we would approach it.
Okay, super.
I want Jen Larrett in charge of every dollar. So you hand it to her, and then she holds it out in front of them, and just every time, just one of those.
Okay. Stacy,
Public comment, perhaps.
anything else?
That's it for me. I don't know if we have any public comment.
Yeah, okay. So,
I'm sorry, I have one more comment I will say for after public comment. I just realized.
okay. So we'll open the floor, and I see 2 speaker cards raised. So 3 speaker cards raised. So take turns.
So first off, as a parent of students at FCOSD, we really appreciate the support that we get from the city because we know that you guys do care about our kids. I will continue to fight the good battle with them to my dying breath. But what I did want to say is, as far as the steeplechase pick goes, first of all, 2 of our coaches that coach at Cordova High are both state champions in the steeplechase. So we're already going to be giving our kids a leg up by being able to train them. Whether they're able to compete during their high school season won't make a difference because with having the track club, we'll be able to put them into the competitive season to be able to compete in those races. Our one track coach, actually, she did not obviously compete in that high school, but went on to AR, and because she was a state champion at the junior college level, was able to get a full ride scholarship to UC Stanislaus on track and field, specifically because of the steeplechase. So when David's talking about what that brings to our kids as far as getting into colleges and access to scholarships, that is definitely there. As far as the lockers go, we would love to have new lockers. And, you know, it's a battle where we consistently feel like we're always kind of getting the leftovers of whatever is kind of left over in the district from other schools, this, that, and everything else like that. So I know that, you know, there's challenges with the district right now, but if we could at least get these projects that we've currently got going finished out and closed out, that would at least give us, I think, some pride for our students to be able to feel like they can actually go into locker room that is, they feel like their items are secure and safe and that they feel is like clean and modern and things like that, because it'll be one of the more modern areas of the school. So we would appreciate that. So, but the other thing is too, is we have some really exciting things that we're actually doing with travel and tourism as well. So when we have these events with the different track meets and things like that, specifically bringing in steeplechase, we're working with them to create some trail maps and different amenities that are within the city and things like that we'll be able to give to the coaches and that they'll be able to disperse to their teams and their parents. So because we do really want these events that we have coming in to also be revenue generating for the city as well. So by adding that steeplechase, we'll be able to add more meets into our lineup, and I think it would be a cost benefit later for us to be able to add that at the time. So the track hasn't been resurfaced in 12 years. It should be resurfaced every 10. So we're actually getting a victory by actually getting this track resurfaced at this point. So I think all in all, for our kids to be able to go out there and, I mean, to actually have something that's actually better than the other side of the district has given them some pride. We're working on some media efforts and things like that, working with travel and tourism to also bring that to their purview and everything like that as well, working with the coaches to bring in our hotels and things like that into the whole process of things. So if we could get the steeplechase, all it would do would just be able to give us more access into more events and things like that and give our kids access to something that is not accessible in other areas of the region and things like that. So, and the fact that we already have 2 coaches that are available that are excellent in their sport are already going to give us a leg up on that. So we don't even have to worry about getting coaches. So thank you again.
Super. Thanks, Jen. Okay, next.
Hi, thank you for hearing me. My name is Dennis Lamantia. I'm part of the track club as well as several other youth sports in the area. First thing, to speak to these issues, wanted to point out that thank you all for the investment that you've put into Cordova High so far. I think it's been very significant, certainly for the track club. The exposure that we've gotten from USATF or PAUSATF, which is the regional governing body, has been very positive. They can't wait to come back to Cordova. They say nothing but good things about it. We have basically the premier high school track for several reasons that are much before as far as the size of the track and the lanes and what have you. So it's the best place to make the investment, and you invested a lot of money over the last year or two in the hammer cage and the javelin and the build out of making everything better. So I do agree, I don't want to just be repetitive, I do agree that it does leave an opportunity for the children, and I would hope that, I completely agree with Councilman Gatewood as far as the issues, but I think that's adults with bad behavior that needs to be addressed separately, and I think everyone here is good enough to get past that or separate those issues, and I hope we do. As far as, I feel exactly the same as what Jennifer just said, so I won't repeat myself or repeat the same thing as far as the locker rooms, giving them what they deserve. And I'm also part of an organization called RCSAC, which is looking out for the players and the athletes in the high school here in Rancho Cordova, and including, but not limited to, being the booster club. So when we get the approval to be the booster club, we really want to support the students there and give them all the opportunity in the world to try to make it better for themselves in colleges and junior colleges or wherever they choose to go. And I think without this, it takes one thing away from them, and not to just point fingers, but many of the other places have other sports that we don't carry, such as lacrosse and so on, rugby and things like that are high school sports that are just not done in Rancho Cordova. So this again gives some of them an opportunity, and most kids like running is what I've found. Being involved in baseball and basketball and football and track, every one of those people go to track. So that's enough said. I thank you for your time, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dennis.
Helen William Bishaw from the Tierra Grande area. I agree with Dave Sanders. And I agree with what the other people said. I'm appalled to hear they spent money on upgrading a locker room and the lockers were going to be old school. Children have to feel safe, and that means leaving whatever they have in a locker and knowing when they come back from practice that item is still there. I mean, that is real important. The steeplechase is kind of a good thing because even off-season, people are going to take their kids over there and they're going to play with it, something different. So I think Rancho needs to play the game with the other people outside of the purview of our children. I think the best thing is to do the upgrade now when the track is being resurfaced and pay for the lockers, because our children need to know that we trust them and we want them to have a safe environment to include where they lock their stuff up. So I'm all for it. I think it's a money well spent. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. Anybody else in Zoom or anything?
The city clerk's office has not received any additional public comment, and there are no hands that are raised in Zoom.
Okay, then we will close the public hearing. And I
would
think
just
this
like,
is a receive and file for tonight.
if I could
Oh,
just,
you have a comment.
I have a comment.
Yeah, go ahead, David.
But I could add something. The track resurfacing I forgot to mention is actually being paid for by the school district. They have ongoing revenue from cell phone towers at the
Yeah.
site. Linda, you remember way back
Oh,
when?
yeah. Well, we got
To get the lights, we
Yeah.
got cell phone towers, right?
Yeah.
That was our first heavy lift
Yeah.
at this site. So that's like a $750,000 project. So the steeplechase addition, part of it is actually minor compared to that. There's about 2,000 kids per event that these guys mentioned, the events happening there, those track meets. It's a lot of hotel rooms and a lot of a lot of participation by our local kids. And the other, I guess, thing that's contextually important is this is the city acting in what would be a booster-like capacity in other high schools in the school district. So at the other high schools, the school district can rely on parent organizations raising hundreds of thousands of dollars. That doesn't happen in Rancho Cordova, and the city is basically assuming that role on behalf of our citizens. That's probably a benefit of Measure H. And then as a policy item, going forward, Cyrus and Stacy, I think we have to consider some sort of an ongoing support for facilities that we build. And we've talked about this over time, but right now it's sort of coming full circle. So we talked about that wonderful girls softball facility. That was a Measure H expenditure for project. So the question is, if that facility is maintained at sort of the school district standard, they wouldn't control clover, for example. You could let clover take over the grass or other weeds, and they wouldn't necessarily control that. That's not their standard of care for a field. But for it to be what we want it to be, the best in the region and a great safe place for our kids, we've got to somehow get them to that point. It's almost like every time we build something, and this is my proposal, every time we build something, we better consider an ongoing level of support.
It needs an endowment.
Something like that, to make sure that it doesn't decay over time. Otherwise, most jurisdictions, for example, you do landscaping on a street and they put something out there and then they're just like, walk away, right? They don't do anything to maintain it. We don't operate that way.
No.
We maintain what we put out there. And we do that on our streets. We certainly need to do that for things like this. If it's gonna be a Little League complex next, if it's gonna be, something at Cordova High, if it's whatever it's gonna be, youth center, that one we outright own, so it's a little different. But we're gonna have to make some sort of a provision in Measure H or Measure R or something to maintain these facilities.
Yeah, I think.
Actually, that's a really good point. And Stacy, it probably doesn't come in under administration because that's just really administration of the application process. But if we had even in the legacy category, if we had something called facilities management.
Or maintenance. Well, I mean, the perfect example is the Little League field. I didn't realize cost the Little League not Little League, but the girls softball field cost them $18,000 a year.
Yeah.
And I was and I was like, but didn't we just kick in $5 million to build it? And I didn't even think that they're like, how many of poor Rob Borba sandwiches do they need to pay? They are delicious by the day. I did have one of them, steak sandwich. Like, how many of those sandwiches do you need to do to make sure that stuff maintains itself? It's the same thing with the Little League field that we're about to build. We need to put a lot of, like, there's no way that my girls softball should be paying the 18 grand to maintain this. I want them to use it for programs to help to support the next girls thing. And so when we do Little League, I need to make sure there's a fund that takes care of the facility going forward.
So
the
Garrett,
Gophers and stuff like that.
Yeah, in terms of capacity at the Little League, the statistics that we had that day to fund the thing were $3 million from the city, $5 million from the school district, and $50,000 from concession stand revenue at the at softball. And so, I mean, it's obvious no matter how many wonderful sandwiches you
Delicious.
eat, you're not able to really do much in the way of upkeep on an annual basis.
That's
so.
probably not fair of us to say, hey, here's a great new facility, now you gotta pay to maintain it. It's not really a reasonable
Well,
thing.
they've probably been paying, obviously, they've been paying rental to the school district.
Right.
For the last 56 years, but.
Not at that level.
But not at that level.
Yeah, and I don't want to set the precedent. I think you're 100%. And I meant to bring it up, and this is the perfect one to do it. Is anytime we build those facilities, we put aside a management or maintenance fee, and we'll just have, as we build these, we'll have Cyrus and them figure out what that's going to be.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't put something out because we never want it to degrade. This amazing softball field needs to say amazing softball fields forever.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the Little League. The next steps, or his track and field, because when you're racing horses in the water and across. I know, isn't that horses they ride to jump into the thing?
I don't think they're going to do that on our track.
It's amazing though that we're now racing horses because we're going to have these steeple chases for the horses to run over, and that's exciting. I don't think Folsom has steeples. that we can race horses through. That's a
Well,
big step.
That's an example too. So we put steeplechase in there. It's a great amenity for the track club, great thing for kids, all that, but it's not a CIF sport. And so the district's insurance policy may not even cover that. So someone's gonna have to buy an annual policy, Dennis, $1,000 or something, right? To insure that thing in the ground right there. So,
Interesting.
if we put it there, then we should probably, it's our responsibility at some level to do that. Same thing for Hammer, if there's a special thing necessary for that.
Let me tell you what happens if you don't do that. You get my high school where you get to fill it in with sand. And then you get to try to dig it out. Now, super terrible for the throwers that have to do that.
Okie dokie. So we've
They had the throwers doing the maintenance?
Yes, we did. Yes, I did. Yes, I was the thrower
Nice.
doing the maintenance.
so we may have beaten this horse to death. So are we good?
Madam Vice Mayor, can I recap the conversation for the next step? So as I understand it, we will bring something back to the council at the next meeting on the funding. We just need to figure out exactly what it is with some performance criteria. We will also, as part of our Measure H discussions, we would potentially consider putting a bucket of funding aside for maintenance or on upkeep funds. So that would be a discussion as we decide on Measure H funds.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Cyrus.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. We will move on to 12.2. Stacy?
12.2, Art Strategic Plan Update and Discussion on the upcoming call for public art proposals.
Okay,
It's me again.
okay.
I'm just waiting for the presentation to load. So tonight is an opportunity to recap the first 2 years following the adoption of the Art Strategic Plan. So the Art Strategic Plan was adopted in December 2019. After many years of work, we had input from a variety of stakeholders. We had input from students. We did some research and analysis, and it concluded with the Art Strategic Plan that you adopted. And so tonight, we're going to highlight some of the achievements from the first 2 years, and then also talk about the objectives for years 3 to 5, which are considered the midterm actions in the strategic plan, and then get feedback from you on what the focus for the next round of public art funding should go towards. And so that would be the $50,000 in funding that council has approved already for public art. When the Art Strategic Plan was adopted, it was done so to provide both a vision for the future as well as to help further the city's goals to make Rancho Cordova an artful place. And the city has been a generous supporter of the arts, funding everything between education programs, buying new instruments, supporting our local bands and orchestra, establishing the MAC and providing ongoing support so that we can have wonderful exhibits throughout the year, as well as opportunities for artists to do public art within the city and to do some real fun art-centric events throughout the year. And the items on this screen represent the key elements that were found within the original Art Strategic Plan. The Art Strategic Plan is an action-oriented plan, so it was broken into 3 main sections. The first being what they considered near-term actions, years 1 and 2, and then, of course, the midterm actions, years 3 through 5, and then the long-term actions, which were years 5 and beyond. And within the plan, there were some guiding principles as well as a desired outcome. So some of the principles include that art should be inclusive and it should be diverse, that we should involve arts at an early age to foster creativity, so starting with our youngest kids going all the way through someone's lifespan, that art is good business sense. By providing support for the arts, we actually do things to attract new residents and businesses. We support our local businesses. There's additional economic growth as a result of art activities.
Art should also be a way to enhance the quality of life. So we see art as a way to create and underscore that this is a great community. And it also adds richness to our culture. Art should also be participatory. We should be able to enjoy art, whether it's live performances, whether they're exhibits, or a public art installation. Art should also be everywhere, from a gallery showing to a live performance to installations here at City Hall as well as the MAC, at alternative locations such as the mine shaft. And lastly, that we'll find ways to support and nurture the artist. So we'll provide space to create art, to rehearse, to perform, and to display art. And the desired outcome that was listed in the Art Strategic Plan is that in 20 years, when viewing the community, we will see accomplishments that have changed the community for the better. While the art block was an area that was defined within the Art Strategic Plan, kind of as the center of activity, the relationship and the programs that we'll find within the art block will also help promote arts throughout all of Rancho Cordova. So the art block does include the area where the MAC is located, as well as the Rancho Cordova Center of Folsom Lake College, the future Mills Crossing Civic Center, as well as being accessible near Highway 50, Folsom Boulevard, as well as public transportation. And one of the main areas that both artists and art organizations identified in the Art Strategic Plan was having adequate facilities. Those facilities are needed to perform in, to rehearse in, to display their wares, and also coming up with facilities that are both shared for the community to use. We might not own the facility, but we can find ways to make the facility available for our groups, as well as places like the MAC, which serve as a hub for the community, both in terms of art happenings and as a way to connect people to art in Rancho Cordova. So the Art Strategic Plan is reliant upon having collaboration with our partners. So we can't do it alone. We might provide the seed funding that makes these programs available, but it's really contingent upon us working closely with Rancho Cordova Arts, working with our educational institutions, working with our local and regional partners. We need, of course, work with the Cordova Community Council, who brings fun to Rancho Cordova in a lot of different ways and is a great supporter of the arts. Our park district provides opportunities for live performances as well as venue space. And then, of course, Rancho Cordova Chamber of Commerce as a way to support the local businesses here in Rancho Cordova. The city is one of the leaders in the arts world here in Rancho Cordova, and we do this by providing funding and support for many different aspects, whether that's educational programs in our schools. We did physical improvements of facilities such as the MAC, as well as some of our smaller black box theater locations, such as the one at George Washington Carver, as well as CalCap Theater. We support community groups that champion the arts. We, of course, have art showings here at City Hall, at the MAC, in the community. There's lots of community events that have an art focus throughout the year, and we've done some permanent and temporary public art installations and events. So these are all ways that we can show our leadership as well as work with others within the community. So through the Community Enhancement and Investment Fund, there has been ongoing commitment made to arts and culture within Rancho Cordova. And this support is not just performing arts and visual arts, but also educational programs, capital investments, and our public art initiatives. And we have a little video celebrating some of the public art that has taken place in Rancho Cordova. There'll be just a moment. Just to give you an idea of some of the things that have happened since 2013, and especially since the Community Enhancement and Investment Fund started. That's okay. She's just going to switch back to the presentation.
So, you know, I was handed an arts master calendar and for this year, and it goes on for multiple pages of the things that are happening in Rancho Cordova this year, all because of this effort and the people who have participated. And if you think about this weekend, we've got the kids' art show, the student art show, starting on Thursday. And on Saturday, we don't have just one performance, but we have two performances.
Exactly.
Including another one of our unique orchestra in the grocery store performances.
So art is definitely happening all over Rancho Cordova. Some of the midterm actions that were identified in the art strategic plan include more fully utilizing the MAC as a center of Rancho Cordova arts and the art block. Going off of what Linda just shared, there is something happening at the MAC every month, and it's not just happening once, it's happening for several weeks, several nights with different items added in, whether those are concerts, screenings of film, and a variety of other things. Also in the strategic plan is our need to both identify, connect, and develop the use of some of the interim facilities that already exist that can be used for art purposes. An example of some of the things that we've done recently would be to take the Mandarin Center and create a full rehearsal space. So of course that building was in existence, but to improve that area so that there's rehearsal space for some of the bands and orchestras. Again, we did some small scale changes to make some of the black box theaters more useful in the community and things like that, where we can take existing spaces and add a little bit to it or connect people to those spaces. And then also in the midterm actions is to create some temporary or permanent art projects, whether those are mosaics or wall murals. It could be an annual exhibit, or it could be things such as an art festival, an art walk, etc. Also in the strategic plan, it calls for some long-term actions. And most of those long-term actions will be accomplished when Mills Crossing Civic Center opens. So for instance, the long-term actions included creating a permanent performing arts center for arts in Rancho Cordova, which would be part of the Mills Crossing Civic Center. Also, it's an opportunity to have some monumental art installations, as well as community maker spaces, and potentially artist housing. So again, those are all things identified as long-term actions, so beyond year 5. And those long-term actions would take additional city resources and time. So you have approved $50,000 for public art projects, and that was as of the June 2020 resolution that was approved. We're also queued up to discuss, public art funding out of the fiscal year 2023 budget. If that was also $50,000, we really have about $100,000 to program in public art projects in the very near term. So tonight I'm looking for some feedback on what this next round of funding should be pointed towards. So we just did a round of utility box wraps that was very successful. We probably had more than 100 applicants submit their art proposals. And in a normal situation, when we just had people submit proposals as part of the larger community grant process, we might receive 3 to 5. So by doing a targeted outreach focusing on a specific art project, it resulted in much greater results in terms of the number of applicants as well as the variety of submissions. So we would definitely recommend doing a target outreach campaign, so whether that's additional rounds of utility box wraps. When we did some of the initial work, we looked at about 90 different locations that could receive utility box wraps. And of course, there's more than that in the city, but we looked at specific areas and to create art throughout the community. When the art wraps were done, we did 30 boxes at 26 different locations. So there's plenty of utility boxes that we could further wrap if that's a desire of the council. We also have the opportunity to do murals or mosaics or something like that on targeted properties. The youth center, which of course will be opening this summer, there are opportunities to do murals or some type of art both inside the facility as well as outside the facility. So that could be a focus area for the funding that would become available in 22-23. It would line up pretty nice to that. There's also some other alternatives that I've listed on the screen, and I'm sure there's many more. But looking from council, what is your desire for the $50,000 that's already been approved, as well as potentially the $50,000 for next year, if we want to queue some of these things up and get ready to launch our next public art funding.
Council Stacy asked a question.
Well, we do this for a lot of reasons. You've talked about some of them, but it's quality of life, for everybody who lives in Rancho Cordova. It's a very productive economic development strategy, because as you remodel a corridor, particularly an aging commercial corridor, adding art in that space or art activities enlivens it and brings people who are going to spend money on other things, or maybe even invest, or even maybe choose where to live based on their interactions. At an art level, it's sort of one of the secret economic development strategies we've seen around the state and around the nation. There's opportunities for kids and adults in art, so that makes sense, and we should consider that as we go forward. Where can we get the biggest level of participation for our kids and our adults in art projects that we do? We should consider, how does a given project improve our image? What's the impact on our image? Because that's another product of an art strategy. And then finally, community beautification. Is there a particular beautification goal that we can accomplish with art? So I think I've voiced this before, but we probably have some unique opportunities in Rancho Cordova. I'm thinking about the regional transit sound wall that runs, I don't know how many miles through Rancho Cordova, 6, 7?
A long way.
What if, it's non-contiguous, of course, but almost contiguous. What if you had the world's, I don't even know if this would be true, the world's largest mural or something, longest mural or longest piece of art. And this is just me speaking off the top of my head, but what if it was like a river scene, because this is a river community, and it's very light. It's not an intense mural, but it just continues all the way down for miles after miles. Here's a tree, here's a little farmstead, and these are images from our history or from our future that are just sort of, here's a bear.
It's like
Here's some Native American
it's
appropriate
like the
representations.
timeline that
Kind
that
of.
lived in the area.
It
That'd
wouldn't
be cool.
have to necessarily be like strict, but
Yeah.
that might be the sort of thing that someone would come to Rancho Cordova to see. I don't know.
You know, Donald, if he was here, so I'll just become him. I'm gonna shave my head and age back a little bit. He always, that was mean. I apologize. Donald always liked the idea of having those guys that would come on the sides of buildings and do really interesting, kind of subtle, urban kind of pictures on murals.
Yeah.
That'd be good. And then I know maybe we could do a twofer. Like I know there's some places that we wanted to put a retaining wall to protect people so the building doesn't go, so a car doesn't run in. Maybe we could paint that, like maybe an amazing red stop sign that kind of intrigues them to not run into the very pretty art and protect my
Giant
citizens.
stop sign.
I
I'm
mean,
just,
like at the intersection of Chase and Coloma.
just putting it out there. Just some amazing art. I would love the idea of, I love sculptures. So that's always been one of my big things. So if we can find stuff inside run down or I'm sorry, well-loved grocery centers that are looking to take that next step, maybe along Folsom Boulevard, as we start to clean up that area, I think a sculpture, that would be cool because I know one of our citizens is always talking about how we don't show off that African-American gentleman that helped build part of Rancho. That'd be a cool sculpture to have there. Maybe the history behind him. And maybe, you know, then the Aerojet thing, maybe the history, maybe one of our rockets. That would be a real cool one. I mean, there's lots of different areas if we could start to do that. And I hate being someone that tells people what's pretty in artwork. So, because I am horrible at it. I think black and white are the only true colors. The absence of color and the example of pure color are the only things needed in life. And that comes from being an IT nerd, ones and zeros. But, I mean, those kind of things are kind of stuff you can put your stamp on. And plus you can say, like, hey, meet me over by the, you know, Aerojet rocket, or meet me by the da-da-da founders, da-da-da square. And those are cool because then it's, you know, we have a lot of, we're trying to turn Folsom Boulevard into not a freeway, but a actual destination. And, you know, I'm not going to tell you this, but I know of mommy groups that take their kids around to see all the smud boxes. So think of women with their kids, they gather them all in the car and they go around to see the cool smud boxes and they have a biking thing they did that they drove to each smud box, which is just crazy to me, but cool. I mean, I never thought that we would be a destination because we had painted our smud boxes. But that being said, you know, artwork in some type of sculpture or something in every one of those parking areas that we want to clean up and turn into some kind of destination spot. Plus, it creates energy, and then, you know, makes people want to actually be in the space, and then hopefully they'll help them to, you know, rent out the space. All that energy, and as we start pushing, because Folsom Boulevard is getting nicer and nicer by the day, all we need is an infusion of people and business, and we're done. That becomes a destination location.
So I adore the utility box wraps. I mean, and you're right. You can't dictate what beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and everybody perceives art differently. And it's the reason that of all the different types of art that are at the light rail stations, you know, I love one of them. Kurt loved one of them. Jane Smith loved one of them, and I hated that one. You know, that kind of thing. But we have some medians that could hold sculptures in addition to places like shopping center parking lots. There are some shopping centers that I've seen in other cities where when they did their public walkways, when people started doing public walkways across shopping centers so you weren't just out there with all the different lanes of traffic, then there were some that they used for more of, they put art in there, like the statues of little kids running or something, and I love those kinds of things. So it's like, actually there's one down at Rayleigh's, You know, there's one of those at Rayleigh's where they've, that goes through the middle of a couple of fields of parking. And I'm sure they'll have the same kind of thing at Anatolia, and maybe even at Stone Creek at
Well, the one in
Sprouts.
downtown Sac, they have a giant rooster chicken.
Oh, that's true.
Just a giant rooster chicken.
It's
I
a
can't
big
even figure out why it's there, but I'm like, cool chicken.
Well, the same builder built one, did one at Madison and
Oh yeah, the
Hazel
Madison and Hazel,
with the
another
porch.
giant chicken.
Yeah.
Can we get a giant chicken?
Well, do we want a giant chicken?
Giant
How about a
turkey.
giant turkey?
But I'm
Yeah.
scared the other turkeys will start to get there and start
Yeah.
attacking us.
But we also have a set of walls at Tiffany West that are crying out for murals, like we did down at Los Nogales or whatever that is. Okay, and we definitely have many more miles of RT. RT is writing a visual art policy right now. And so I had this discussion with them this morning to ensure that they continue their art in public places, because we still have the Horn Road Station to build. And that we'll definitely want art at the Horn Road Station. But benches are good, the bike racks are terrific. There are very few places like the Bureau of Automotive Repair on North Mather where they did their own really cool bike racks. I've used those in the Art in Public Places slideshow. And if we did more benches, there was a period where the Sheridan, a previous manager at the Sheridan had this lighting system that threw decorative lights up on the side of the building at night. Because we really only have like 3 buildings that are only over 5 stories tall. You know, and you really need a broad canvas if you're going to do a display like that. And I like benches. Some of us saw a picture of a bench outside a library in Ukraine today where the bench was shaped like an open book.
That's very cool.
Did you see that?
That's
That
very
was
cool.
really terrific.
I think the utility boxes are a really great practical project we just did. The one modification I would make to those is there are cases where there's a large utility box and then there's a couple of tiny ones next to it. So the large one is done, say with tulips or irises or something, right? That looks like, I don't know, Van Gogh or Monet or something. But the 2 next to it are just, have nothing on it. And it just strikes me as like glaring nothing on them. It should be.
Put another tulip and another
Exactly,
iris.
another.
Type of bunny rabbit next to it.
Go back to the
turtle.
original artist and see, could you take part of that image and just sort of extend it onto the other
that'd be
2,
cool.
so it looks together?
That's a really good idea.
Because otherwise, if we came back and did something totally different at the 2 that are right next to the big one, it would be perhaps glaring, right?
Yeah. I have to say, though, there is one issue with the utility boxes. If you turn the corner from westbound Folsom Boulevard onto northbound Coloma going toward Cordova High, there's a perfectly beautiful utility box right there outside of the KFC. And whoever's box it is has 2 giant inspection stickers right in the middle of the artwork.
Yeah,
And
the
so
placement.
we need to design some official place that the annual inspector can put his inspection stickers. It's not in the middle of somebody's
Oh,
face or
no.
something.
You mean like after the fact, they
Oh,
put the
yeah.
inspection
Oh,
stickers
yeah.
on there?
I saw a
Yeah.
lion with this inspection sticker in its mouth. And I was like, why did you put this?
Oh, no.
In the lion's mouth.
Poor inspectors, they're art challenged. We
Well,
need to educate them.
We need to educate them.
There are a lot of neighborhood walls. We talked about this with Measure R and beautification. So there are a lot of places where we have old broken down wood fences. We need solid walls.
Yeah.
Better than just a solid wall is even a geometric pattern, a light touch geometric pattern would be better than nothing.
Yeah.
So you could consider that art. I suppose at some point you could have too many murals. We're nowhere near that.
No.
But
we're
at some
nowhere
point
near
it could
that.
be like overwhelming with too much stuff. So we probably need to
Yeah.
caution ourselves about density of it in a certain location, but
So
we're a
shall
very
we-
big city.
Shall we ask for public comment?
Yes.
Okay. Stacy, did you Did we have anybody, did anybody in the room want to speak to this item today?
Yes.
Shelley does. Come on. Aha. My, that looks familiar.
Nice.
Oh, sorry.
You gave her a present and she broadcast
Yes,
it.
but that's fine. I have no complaints to register about the strategic arts plan. I feel like it's been a success and we're just getting started. It's only 2 years old. But I just wanted to remind everybody that in 2015, if I was sitting here and said, I want to show you a list of all the arts activities in our community, it would look like this. We had 0 things on the calendar. And beginning with our first Art at City Hall show, which we named Genesis for a reason, this thing has just really taken off with the support of the city, so thank you for that. But also, artists are wonderfully productive people, and they've worked hard and continue to be attracted to our town because of the goal of being a place not only for art, but for artists as well. So my little 3-minute speech is just to share with you the list of things that's happening in 2022 because of this fuse that was lit and has been carried through with the Art Strategic Plan. This list doesn't include any of the things you're doing. This is a list of items being pursued by members of the Rancho Cordova Arts Council, which includes the Sinfoni de Oro, the Rancho Cordova River City Concert Band, Rancho Cordova Arts, Rise Up Theater, Hummingbird Theater, and we just added CalCap Arts. And we have a new player with the Philharmonic, which is going to be doing some projects with us, including one that they are, I was telling Randy, Kay, and Stacy, they saw that we do Moonlight movies, and then we said, well, this year we're doing all sing-along movies, so that's going to be a summer sing-along. And they said, well, you know, we happen to have an opera. How about if we bring some opera performers out to to get the community warmed up and sing along with opera? Now, let me tell you,
well, hold
that
on.
will put you on the map,
Listen,
right?
not in a good way. You just invited everyone else out to come warm up with.
That we're not done with that project, and we're planning to. We're
You can't
pursuing
invite
it.
anyone else up here. Like literally,
But honestly, isn't that a beautiful thing about how one good thing can lead to another? Yeah. And so I just wanted to share with you the, at the Cordova Community Council, David knows that our audacious goal is that we want Rancho Cordova to be the envy of the region. We talk about it all the time. And I feel like with the arts, on many days we are. And we hear it, and we just hosted our first international show at the MAC. There's there's success written all over this, so thank you for the support. Enjoy your list, and there's more to come. Even this year, I know of things that are not on this list yet that are coming. So this is just a thank you and a high five to us.
And Shelley, you're never limited to 3 minutes.
No.
Would not apply. But this is over 100 items.
There's 127 to be precise, and some of
Think
them are
about that.
some of them are multiple days. So there's a 2-day thing. And one of the really fun things of talking to people is we tell them also, what, we really want you to participate in Cordova Community Council events because we've already got big audiences for you, which is what the Philharmonic was interested in, seeing people that they would not normally see. And that has just been so much fun to see how artists they interpret a public event and make it just that much better by, participating. So it's been a lot of fun.
And just putting that into context, I'm a Philharmonic subscriber. I have gone to their concerts, big concerts, expensive concerts downtown.
Right.
And seen fewer people than attend some of our concerts here in Rancho
Right.
Cordova for our community band, for example. That kind of gives you an idea what level we're functioning on there.
Well, if you, in doing our arts program here in Rancho Cordova, we started with this, and artists always take this and make this much out of it, which is a wonderful thing about artists. But, not being too snobby to, throw a concert in a grocery store or hang your art in City Hall, in a government building, and, these sorts of things have created wonderful community cadres of art lovers. And I know of people who have actually said they've moved to Rancho Cordova because they love what's happening in support of the arts. So I just am thrilled the way this is rolling out. I almost can't imagine how we could more fully utilize the MAC. It's just got something going in it every day. Things that are not on here, like we have musicians who practice there, and a lot of good things happening at the MAC. So
They also have a very extensive lending library.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of us who have contributed art books, and I've got some from my dad's library to give Cheryl when I finally get them unpacked. Some more.
Right.
It's really wonderful. You can just go over there and sit and read on any art topic you want.
Are there more participatory things that we should be pursuing? Classes for kids done at the library?
I'm
or
sure.
things
I'm
like
sure
that?
there are. Yes, I'm sure there are. We do a 1 or 2 workshops every month at the MAC. They're always sold out. We do movies at the MAC. We do music at the MAC when we don't get caught. We're trying to just give a whole lot of opportunities and make the MAC just something that's really part of community life. And I really feel that for a lot of people, we're there. But that's a great question. There's always more you can do with the arts, no doubt.
Are there, and I know this discussion's going on with regard to the Civic Center project or the what are we calling that project now?
Mills Crossing.
Have an official
Mills
name
Crossing?
for it.
Is that what we're gonna call it? Mills Crossing project? I know there's ongoing discussions there, but I think we should always be on the lookout to find new partners.
Right.
Or even capture partners that are having difficulty elsewhere fulfilling a very good mission. That they could be
Absolutely.
successful at here.
Absolutely.
Because it's difficult to invent something and gain all the expertise and start something up. It's much easier to recruit someone or find someone that's working and then grow it up.
Right. And also unexpected partners, like, we're building all these wonderful, beautiful sports facilities. They should have art in every one of them, right? So there's things we've got planned for veterans, for seniors. It just takes a while to get there. And of course, we did take a big, time out with COVID. We'd be in a different place even today if we hadn't had to stop what we were doing during a 2-year period of COVID. So I can only imagine where we'll be 2 years from now. And it's not, something I'm doing. I mean, we have wonderful Cheryl Gleason, who's a giant supporter of the arts, and you all have just said over and over again, you want art to happen, and then you put your money where your mouth is. So there's so much potential here. It just gives me shivers to think about it, really.
Yeah, that girls' softball facility is crying out for some sort of art on site. I think the best you could say now is they have colored concrete or something, right?
Well,
But
I can
there's
tell you,
no-
Rod Borba took Cheryl Gleason, and they spent a couple hours walking around thinking, what could we do here?
The arch that sort of names it is oddly.
Well, it's got a couple of little
It's
figures
oddly
on the
worded,
side.
but you can imagine fixing it in a very fun, artistic way.
If you were asking earlier, I want to put plant one seed for my pet project, and that is to turn that obnoxious new water tower next to the VA into some
Yes.
hot light installation that you would see from all over the region.
Like the background of a light show of some
Could
kind,
be,
right?
yes. It has lights and. Right, yes.
What's the RCYC comes on?
What if you draped it with something, then you did a laser show on the surface you draped? That kind of thing, right?
That's hot fire right there.
I think of LED light show on it,
Yep.
like we talked about
It
once for
becomes
the
some sort of
map.
a Christmas tree, at Christmas time or whatever. Looks like a rocket on the 4th of
Mm-hmm.
July or something.
Or all of them, all of that. Anyway, this was mostly to say thank you, and what you've done, what you started here is just, taken flight, and, there's so much more great things to come, so thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. Anybody else?
Yes, we have an additional speaker in
Oh, sorry, Daryl.
Zoom that I'm going to go to. David, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. If you can introduce yourself, you'll have up to 3 minutes to speak, please.
Well, thank you, Stacy. My name is David Soban, and I am the CEO and founder of Wide Open Walls. And I think that Councilmember David Sander was about ready to tee me up there when you were looking for partners. And I think that's where I would like to come in and at least give you a little bit of an idea of what it is that Wide Open Walls does. We would love to be a partner in the Rancho Cordova Arts Plan. I've witnessed, not just from driving through the neighborhood, but have looked at the plan and seen what you guys have accomplished in the last couple of years with the money and the budget you have, and it is very admirable. There are a couple of things that I think Wide Open Walls could benefit, and Rancho Cordova could also benefit from a partnership like that. You were just talking about a water tower. In October, we're going to create the largest mural on the west coast of the United States on the UC Day campus, and it's going to 50,000 square foot water tower. You guys have mentioned the concentration of art, and is there a time where there's too many murals in a neighborhood? Well, you have quite a few square miles, and I think you've got a ways to go. Wide Open Walls in the past has concentrated specifically on the downtown and the midtown area and the grid. In the last 3 years, we've sort of expanded out to Del Paso Boulevard and in North Sacramento, and we've put over 20 projects into that neighborhood and doing another 5 this year. Last year, your neighbors up there in Gold River received a gift from us, and that was an incredible mural on the fish hatchery, the Nimbus Fish Hatchery. So we're kind of missing the community in between here and Gold River of where our next projects are. This year we're expanding out to Elk Grove and doing some projects out there into West Sacramento. So we would definitely like to partner with your community. One thing that I think that we are extremely good at is the things that you guys are talking about. The reason for art is creating landmarks. Not too many pictures have been taken of Sacramento, promoting Sacramento, without a picture of the Johnny Cash mural on the Marriott Hotel. The festival that we bring in and all the events, we've got 15 events that are planned during May. May is Mural Month this year, and we continue with that. So not just bringing art and landmarks and pride to your community, we'll also put it on the map. We have millions of visitors to our website, over 50,000 social media followers, and we can turn all that attention to Rancho Cordova in partnering in different art projects. So whether that's the water tower or whether that's filling in some of those walls in urban areas or in manufacturing areas, we would love to be able to partner with your community.
Super, David. So we're going to ask you to work with Stacy Delaney and figure out how you can do that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Linda.
Yeah,
Great.
Thank you, David.
Absolutely.
So the new rule is every time something atrocious gets put in the air, it gets wrapped in art. So just a warning, if it's ugly and we're like, what is that god awful? We activate Shelley. Shelley, that gets new artwork. Some type of lighting show with fireworks, some sort of dragon that drops out of the sky. Think outside the box.
And now we're going to hear from Daryl, and he's going to suggest covering it in quilt.
It would get too soggy in the winter.
But quilting is art.
a concept that I happen to think about for the median in Folsom Boulevard, they have the steel cutouts that people do and attach to the fences. Possibly have a bunch of salmon swimming upstream in the middle of Folsom Boulevard. And Garrett, instead of having the big stop sign painted there, you have them paint the hole like it's already been crashed in with the tail end of the car sticking out of it.
Oh,
So
that's
that they say, look at
great.
what that idiot did.
That is great.
They'll slow down to look at it.
Don't laugh. I have a granddaughter who can do that. She did on the on the concrete stairway on the two-story building at Cordova High. She painted one of those murals where it looks like there's a hole and something in there. So
You know, Daryl, that might actually work, all joking aside.
actually work.
Because I remember on the outside of New Orleans, as you came into New Orleans on Interstate 10, there was a police car, and that police car sat there for all 6 years that I lived around New Orleans. And it was an abandoned car, but they just put it there in the median, and every time I saw that thing, I slowed down. For 6 years.
We're gonna paint an RCPD picture of it, the lifestyle, and be like, whoa, that's, hey.
It's probably not my personal problem. That's probably a human nature kind of a thing.
How fast were you going in New Orleans?
No comment.
Okay, do we have anybody else signed up?
No, we do not.
All right, super. Any final thoughts? Okay, Stacy, do you have enough to go on? We've certainly all yacked enough.
I think I heard that you guys are interested in doing more murals, more utility box wraps.
Yeah.
And there seems to be an interest in potentially exploring whether those are murals or some other artistic features in the future.
Yeah.
And maybe tuning up the ones we have out there.
Yes, helping to fill in some of the gaps that
I
exist.
think the $50,000 budget's probably needs adjustment. And I'm relatively sure last year when we talked about Measure H, remember Donald in particular arguing for that number's got to be larger than 50. And I don't remember where we ended up, but I agree with that. I don't think you can accomplish enough on the list as we should be accomplishing it with 50.
That's one statue, a real good rooster.
Yeah,
That's a real good
potentially.
big rooster.
Or turkey.
Or turkey.
Or turkey.
So when we come back and share the recommendations, we can include a larger budget for public art, and then you can officially vote on whether or not that's adequate and specifically the focus areas.
Okay.
It should be it's sort of like a goal-oriented budget, right? Figure out what the goal is for this year and then work back to the number.
Right.
As opposed to, what can we do with this number? I kind of like
Yeah,
that
because-
outcome-oriented approach.
Yeah, because we would not know how many wraps can you do for $20,000, that kind of thing, so.
So if you have $50,000, you can roughly do somewhere between 25 and 30 wraps, kind of as a benchmark.
I'm sure we can find 25 or 30 boxes that need wrapping.
Council, I also like to add that we've always applied a level of flexibility. So if good ideas and good concepts have come to us, we've been able to either do it under my authority or come back to the council and ask for additional authorization.
I don't remember us talking about a turkey statue, though.
Yes.
And
yeah,
that right there is what
with
sets
a-
us apart from so many
Absolutely.
other governments, where we would lock this number in and you'd be stuck with it, and bureaucrats would be trying to spend it at the end of the year and all that nonsense.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's part of our core culture.
Our ability to be flexible. Okay, so now I have to ask if there are any council requests for future agenda items. And I'm not seeing any. So we will thank everybody for attending tonight and adjourn in memory of Judith Schneider Godney. Thank you all.
Good night, everyone.